Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnocky, and as always, I'm here with Matt Stewart and Jess Perkins.
Hello, Dave.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Jess. Hey, how's it going? So good to see you.
So good to see you.
So good to see you.
You look so beautiful in that colour.
You do too.
Oh my God, thank you.
You are glowing.
I was literally about to say you are glowing.
Hey, how good is it to be alive?
Oh man, I love to be alive.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's so great, especially when I'm with my best friend, Matt.
What is this?
I don't know. You got a weird vibe today.
Yeah, we don't like it.
Is it because I'm not wearing a green shirt like
Yeah.
Matt?
Yeah, that's right.
Wearing a black shirt? I'm the bad boy of this podcast.
Also, I'm also in a black shirt, but okay.
Yeah, but yours has a picture of Dolly Parton on it, which really
it does soften it a
takes
bit.
it
doesn't
out. Yeah, mine is just plain black.
I think it's just that we're getting the Sass Twins energy early.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to be
We're gonna
rooted in
We
this
are going to
episode.
rip you a new one.
Yeah. Anyway, little boy, do you want to explain how this show works?
Well, what we do here is we're taking turns to report on a topic often suggested to us by a listener. What we've done is we've gone away, done a bit of research, then brought it back. And it is my turn to do that this week, which traditionally means I get sassed.
Yeah, we can't help it.
And
You're very sassable.
we always start with a question.
Okay.
My question to you is, what is the best way to travel across the Western Alaskan wilderness?
Sled.
Plane.
Oh, yeah, plane's probably...
Sled plane is what I
Sled
meant.
plane.
Sled plane. Put them together and what have you got?
Sled plane.
An incorrect answer. Matt, you are correct. It is sled. Dog sledding.
Dog sledding. Wow, is this about one of those Disney movies where dogs sled
This is
in Alaska?
legitimately the basis of several Disney movies.
Is it Balto?
Right.
It is, but the subject kind of very much inspires Balto. Have
Oh
you seen
my
Balto?
God. I've wanted, yes.
You've seen Balto?
Yes. There's a goose in it. And at one point he says, I'm getting people bumps. And that's funny because people get goosebumps.
That is
He's a
actually good
goose who
stuff.
gets people bumps.
I would really need to listen to the director's commentary track on the DVD to get that. sort of
Really?
joke,
I
yeah.
got it as a child.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that was
Wow.
very funny
That's
as a
advanced
child.
humor.
That is advanced.
That is good shit.
people bumps.
This is great.
Did you walk around the room and explain to your family
Yeah.
what's going on there?
I'd be like, this goose has lost its mind.
I've got people
That's
bumps.
not a thing.
That's what my parents said as I explained the joke. This kid's lost her mind.
Yes, we are going to talk about Balto the dog in this journey.
Wow, I've never heard of Balto the dog, but somehow I knew that Disney had movies about dogs and sleds.
Yes, it's a 1995 movie starring Kevin Bacon as Balto and Phil Collins as Muck and Luck, a pair of polar bears.
Phil Collins?
He voiced not one but two characters.
And I'm guessing that they weren't wearing jackets.
Those polar bears, no jacket required.
Right, Kevin Bacon playing a dog. Voicing the dog or fully going
Fully playing the dog, yeah.
anti-circusing it?
That's right, yeah.
Wow.
Even
It
though he
wasn't.
did-
It was not required.
No,
but
they
he did it.
Did
Yeah.
not film it.
Yeah, but he did it.
Yeah, no green balls required. That's the Kevin Bacon album. This topic's been suggested by a bunch of people, and I appreciate them. First of all, Pamela Garrity from Eagle River in Alaska, where our story takes place today. Claire Hesselmans from Croydon Hills here in Victoria. Megan Castle from Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Oof.
Brandy Broyhill from Greensboro, North Carolina. Does anyone have any facts about North Carolina?
Yes, that is where the Venus flytrap's from.
Fantastic. Do you know it's also the first place they had mini golf?
Oh,
A mini golf course.
That's interesting.
Almost.
And it had a pun name, I think, from memory. Can't remember what it was. Near Enough or something like that.
I think that's it. Fantastic. And that joke's near enough for me. And finally...
It wasn't a joke.
no, I think they're joking.
Okay.
And finally from...
This'll do.
This'll do.
This'll do.
Jeez, you've got a good memory. Famously.
Near enough. And finally from McKinney in Texas, Alicia Moore. Thank you so much. Actually, first of all, so do you remember much about the Disney movie, Jess?
Mostly that one line from the goose. I haven't watched it in quite some time, but I remember that they needed medicine.
Yes. This is an epic journey with a ticking clock.
Whoa. It's a chemist run.
Yeah.
It is. This is called the Nome Serum Run.
Serum.
Ooh.
They are after
The
a
only
serum.
kind of serum I use is for skincare, not medicinal. You know?
Yeah, well, but sometimes you're desperate for that. You will. embark on a hazardous journey to get that
That's
serum
right. I'll
to
make
you.
my dog drag me on a skateboard.
To get some La Roche-Posay.
That's right. I'll do it. I'll do whatever it takes.
So our story takes place in Nome, Alaska, situated on the southern side of the Seward Peninsula on the coast of the Bering Sea. So if your minds to imagine this, it's in the very western side of Alaska. So it's only a few hundred kilometers from Russia.
The Bering
wow.
Sea, the one that freezes over and you can walk across it. But no one yet has been able to drive across it, even though they thought they could in our episode about the New York to Paris motor
surely
race.
they've tried that on Top Gear or something.
Yeah.
They've got Richard Hammond in a Hummer or something.
I think someone's got one across there, but it was like a Jeep converted into a boat. Like a bit of a loophole there.
Yeah. Okay.
It is technically a car.
Yeah, they used the James Bond Lotus that turned into a submarine. Yeah, so it's actually much closer to Russia than it is to the rest of America. To give you an idea of how far it is to the rest of the United States, Nome is nearly 2,000 miles or 3,200 kilometers from Seattle, Washington.
Wow.
But it's only a few hundred K to Russia.
How many MCGs is that? Or Olympic swimming pools?
About 48,000.
Wow, that's quite a distance.
He had that ready to go.
Yeah.
It's lucky that Olympic swimming pools are
And-
50 metres.
Yes. And also amazing that the MCG is the exact same size as an Olympic swimming pool, so it works for
Amazing.
both.
Depends on which angle you're taking it from, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So, and how do you spell Nome? What a great name for a city.
Nome.
Okay.
Nome.
Nome. I like it a lot.
I like it too. Now, Inupiat people, who are the indigenous people of northwestern Alaska, hunted for game on the west coast of Alaska from prehistoric times, and there is some recent archaeological evidence to suggest that there was an Inupiat settlement at Nome, known in Inupiat as Sitnusawake. I'm going to have a few goes at some native Alaskan names here, and I have Googled how to pronounce each of them, but there were a few conflicting pronunciations.
Wait, you're gonna just pick the right one in the edit?
I'm going to pick the right one in my mind.
Okay.
You're just going to have a go and do your very
Yeah,
best.
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say here. And I'll admit, I didn't actually know very much about Alaska. I don't know about you guys. I didn't know very
No.
much, but I looked into it. People have lived there for 10,000 years.
Wow.
Well, when you said the term prehistoric, what does that mean? Since when did history start?
You know? I think it's before, like, how do they define it? I think it is...
I'd never thought about that. If I hear prehistoric, I'm like, old.
Yeah, no, I think I normally
I
do
go,
too.
oh, that's fucking ages.
Before written records.
Right. Okay.
Right.
What's
Oh,
that?
yeah, I guess that does make sense.
Yeah, what's that, about 8,000 years ago or something? 8,000, 10,000 years ago?
Wow. So they've been there since before written records.
Yeah.
Love that.
According-
Love that for them.
According to Britannica, at the time, a land bridge extended from Siberia to eastern Alaska. So it would have been much easier
To drive
back in the day
across.
to drive a Hummer with James May and the Stig racing.
Well, all three of them would have a go, and then they'd have like the winner of like who got the best time, and then they'd get the Stig in, and the Stig would smash them all. I used to watch a lot of that show.
Yeah, my family used to sit down and
Yeah.
watch Top Gear.
Same.
Have they dropped off since the change of cast?
Yeah, since Matt LeBlanc started co-hosting
Matt LeBlanc's
with
on there.
Andrew Freddie Flintoff.
Really? Freddie.
Well, I don't know. I think both of them have since moved on as well, but they've had lots of different people come in and out.
Freddie's recorded a podcast in the stupid old podcast studios.
Really?
Yeah. He did Fitbet with Dill and Ben Lomas.
Oh, fantastic. I love that.
Hey, 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Voice of Balto. And we're back.
And we're back.
Okay. So there used to be a land bridge, and migrants followed herds of animals across it. Of these migrant groups, the Athabascans, the Unagan Inuit, the Yupit, the Tlingit, and the Haida remained in Alaska and developed their own cultures. And now the name Alaska is derived from an Aleut word meaning the mainland, or more literally, the object towards which the action of the sea is directed.
Oh, wow.
That's
That is
nice.
poetic.
Love that.
That
It's
makes
very
you
poetic.
think.
Love that.
I don't fully get it,
Yeah,
but it
that's
does
where the thinking
sound
comes
really
in.
nice.
Yeah, follow the sea.
That's where the thinking comes in. I have to really analyse this one. I'm going to need a pen and paper and about 15 minutes.
I think we're going to need a blackboard.
Yeah,
A few equations.
I don't get it.
But it sounds nice.
It does sound really nice.
And then to compress a lot of time and history into one paragraph, the first European settlement wasn't established until 1784, first by Russian people. Then Russia sold the land to the United States in 1867 in a deal known as the Alaska Purchase, spearheaded by Secretary of State William H. Seward. At the time, the purchase was referred to as Seward's Folly by critics who were convinced that the land had nothing to offer.
It's so funny, some of those deals that were made.
Yeah, just selling land.
Didn't France sell like half or like a third of what is now the US to America?
Yeah.
For a camel or something?
And hey, France still has that camel. So
that's true.
But
That
you feel like an idiot.
Every French camel can be traced back to that camel.
And it's amazing that like this place has nothing to offer. Alaska was admitted to the Union as the 49th state. Not until January 3rd, 1959 did it become a state. It's huge. Upon attaining statehood, Alaska increased the size of the United States by nearly 1/5.
Whoa!
And at the time, they're like, this massive landmass.
What's it going to offer?
Why do we want this?
Yeah.
It's huge. Well, Seward's Folly soon became Seward's success because at the end of the 19th century, gold was discovered in Alaska and that changed everything, especially in the area around Nome.
Okay.
In 1898, Eric Lindblom, John Bernston, and Jaffet Lindbergh,
Okay.
incredible name, known as Three Lucky Swedes, despite Lindbergh being Norwegian. But that's harder to write in a newspaper. Two lucky Swedes and a lucky Norwegian discovered gold in Anvil Creek, which is near Nome, and thousands flocked to Nome hoping to strike it rich. And I mean thousands.
Wow.
In response to the rising population, the city of Nome was incorporated as a city in 1901. During the peak of the gold rush, Nome's population is estimated to have reached 20,000, making it Alaska's most populous city at the time. And it had just exploded overnight. According to the Smithsonian, discovery of gold in Anvil Creek led to an incredible and unexpected revelation. This is a quote from the Smithsonian. Many of the stampeders who arrived too late to stake claims along the mouth of the river set up tents along the beach, where they made an amazing discovery. There was gold on the beach.
Oh my God.
Miners swarming over the strike termed it poor man's paradise. So they got there too late to actually get into the action. So they're like, I guess we'll sleep on the beach. And they're like, hey,
There's gold here.
this beach is made of gold.
That's great.
So they found gold on the beach. Fantastic.
Love
and
that.
the good news for them is land on the beach could not be staked or claimed, so claims were open to everyone. All these men and women needed were shovels, buckets, and a rocker to separate gold from sand. Also, a positive attitude.
That's right. Which you always need.
And the place transformed almost overnight. By 1900, a tent city on the beaches and on the treeless coast reached 48 kilometres long.
What?
30 miles of tents.
How many Olympic swimming pools?
960?
I take your word for it, but
Yeah.
it does feel impressive.
And the once tiny place quickly became congested, and 100 saloons and dozens of stores, restaurants, and hotels in tents and quickly constructed wooden buildings sprang up overnight.
Here's the thing. You go to a music festival and all the tents look the same. I mean, not the ones where you like BYO tent, but like I go to Splendor and they put you in a tent in the VIP section. It's a terrible tent, but they put you in it and they all look the same. And every year I'm like, how the fuck am I going to remember which tent's mine? 48 Ks of this.
48 Ks.
I wouldn't bother. I'd
Yeah.
never find my tent again.
You'd want to have one of those, those poles
Yeah.
that have a bit of a marker on the top.
A Jennifer Coolidge on it or something.
Yeah. I go at Meredith Music Festival. Go to each year. My uncle Cam, he's had bad form with this, and every tent does look different there. But he's got into other people's tents. One time he went to the entirely wrong camp, and he'd carried the esky back by himself, thinking that everyone had left him down there. We hadn't. We were still down there. He just lost us.
And
So
taken the esky?
he took the esky,
And
dragged
you-
it back,
and you went
threw
back to
it
where
in the
the-
middle of there was a group sitting around back at their campsite under their marquee type place, similar-ish to what we had. Threw it on the ground in the middle of them and went, "I've never seen such a lazy bunch of." Oh, sorry about that. language there. And then he looked up and didn't recognize any faces. And they looked at him and he's like, sorry, wrong camp.
That's amazing.
Picked up the esky and wandered back.
And plenty of that is happening in this 48 kilometres of
Yeah,
tents.
exactly. That'd be just happening all over
All
your
the
shop.
time.
I've never seen such
Sorry.
a bunch. Okay. Yep. Wrong settlement.
Wrong settlement. Sorry, wrong gold diggers.
Oh, so sorry. I'm about 6K in the wrong direction.
Oh, my God.
I love a beach walk, but not a 48K one.
Yeah.
That's too far.
Yeah, do they have a singles ad newspaper there? Love walks along the beach. We all do, mate.
Yeah, we've got to do it, all right? But by 1910, most of the gold had been found and people left almost as fast as they had arrived. And by 1925, when today's story takes place, a lot less people living there. Tent City is over. Ray's is closed down. 455 Alaska natives and 975 settlers of European descent made up the population. And I make the distinction because that's what the history books do. At the time and up until the mid-1940s, racial segregation was common across Alaska, meaning Alaska natives were treated as second-class citizens, if not worse, to be honest. Alaska natives were restricted in where they could live, which hospitals would accept them, where they could go to school, and which restaurants or theatres they could enter. In 1945, the Alaska Equal Rights Act of 1945, I don't know where they got the name from, was passed largely in thanks to an incredible woman named Elizabeth Wanamaker Paratrovich, who was a member of the Tlingit Nation. She and her husband Roy and a few others drafted and introduced an anti-discrimination bill in 1941. It failed, but she persisted, and in 1945 they again brought the bill before the Alaska Senate. It passed thanks to an impassioned and moving speech that Elizabeth gave, detailing what it was like to be treated as a second-class citizen. The law, signed on February 16, 1945, prevents and criminalises discrimination against individuals in public areas based on race. When speaking, one of her opponents, Alan Shattuck, which is from what I've read about this guy, an appropriate name, asked if she expected the bill to stop all discrimination. And she said, "Do your laws against larceny and even murder prevent these crimes?"
Yeah.
No law will eliminate crimes,
Come on!
but at least you legislators can assert to the world that you recognise the evil of the present situation and speak of your intent to help us overcome discrimination.
Yeah, shut up. Dross.
That's
Suck
great.
That's just riff. That's off the top of her dome.
That's-
She's not reading a speech.
That's
That's
good.
conversational.
Off the top of her gnome. That is, yeah, like, come on, man. What he must have been like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's everything we do.
Yeah, but in the moment, he's like, oh, fucking
Got
got
her.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, and you think this is just going to magically fix it? She's like, no, I'm not a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You are. He's like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Nah, point taken.
Yeah.
I definitely think he would have been like, point taken.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
he
he would
would've-
have been
I'll
very
take that all on
gracious.
board.
I think he probably would have had to sit down when the audience erupted in applause.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think he went, you know what? You're absolutely right there. And I do feel a little foolish, but I'm going to sit in this feeling of discomfort because it's my own fault. You know, he would have been really cool and gracious about it.
Either he said that or he said, no, fuck you.
Yeah, so one or the other.
Well, now February 16 is honoured as Elizabeth Paratrovich Day in Alaska. Every now and then you come across someone you've never heard of and who probably doesn't have enough info on them to have a full report. But at the same time, you want more people to know about them.
Yeah, that's great.
So good on you. Fantastic. But our main story, sadly, takes place 20 years before that, when discrimination was very rife in Nome in 1925. Even now, Nome has no highways or roads connecting it with the outside world. Basically, I think there's the longest trail out is about 80 miles of dirt road, and then it just suddenly stops. That's as far as you can take your car.
What?
And
So you just go drive to see the end of the road and turn around?
yeah,
So how do you get to Nome?
well, in the 1920s, it was mostly connected by boat. And that's how you get your
Right.
cars in there still. You ship your boat in.
How do you
Ship
get
your
to-
car in.
You ship your boat in, and
ship
then
your boat
on
in.
your boat is your car.
Fantastic. And then inside the car is you, and you're there.
You and your dog.
Yeah. That's where from Russia, Russian doll style. That's just ship in
Yeah.
a ship in a ship in a ship in a ship.
Yeah, these days you can fly in and out. But back then, it's very early days for planes. So mostly back then, connected by boat. But during the 7-month-long winter, it becomes so frozen that boats can't get in and out.
So you're just stuck.
Yeah, so most of the year, like the majority of the year,
That's when you call Jeremy Clarkson and the stick.
Yeah.
the stick gets in. Most of the year, it was cut off from everything else.
Okay.
The majority of the year. And in 1924, the town only had one doctor, Curtis Welsh. Dr. Welsh, I'll call him.
I want a second opinion. Well, bad luck.
I'm the doctor here.
He was assisted by 4 nurses at a local hospital and noticed in 1924 that the town's diphtheria antitoxin had expired. He placed an order in for a new shipment, but it didn't arrive before the winter sealed Nome off from the rest of the world.
Yeah, that feels like an oversight.
Dr. Welsh became concerned when in autumn 2 children died under unexplained circumstances, and his fears only began to grow when on Christmas Day, that's right, this is a Christmas episode, 1924, 7-year-old Margaret Ida fell ill and died just 3 days later. A 4th child, Billy Barnett, died a few days after that. All 4 had been diagnosed with tonsillitis, but with 4 deaths, he started to worry that he was dealing with something much, much worse.
But also, he's the doctor, so he's the one diagnosing them, and it sounds like he hasn't diagnosed them properly.
Yeah, maybe he needs to get a second opinion. But just the fact that you mentioned that diphtheria drug before makes me wonder if that's related.
No, I don't think it is.
Well, he'd gone through the Rolodex of what it could be, and he had initially discounted diphtheria as it's really contagious, and he expected if it was diphtheria, it should have shown up in the sick kids' family members.
Right.
He's like, it can't be that. They'd all have it. It's probably tonsillitis, but then they started getting so sick that they were dying. He thought, I've got to look at this again. But now with 4 dead, he started to think he might be wrong. So he didn't want to tell the town too quickly out of risk of panicking everyone because he wasn't sure. Sadly, his fears became a reality when a few days later, a young Inuit girl became seriously ill and Dr. Welsh this time diagnosed her as having diphtheria. So Dr. Welsh called an emergency meeting of the town's elders and leaders, and I say that, all white people, I should say. He told them that their town was facing an outbreak of diphtheria. And diphtheria is nasty stuff. The Australian government website for health writes, when a person catches diphtheria, the bacteria releases a toxin or poison into the person's body. The toxin infects the upper airways and sometimes the skin, causing a membrane to grow across the windpipe.
Oh.
This makes it hard to breathe, and if the membrane completely blocks the windpipe, it can lead to suffocation and death.
Oh my God.
So nasty stuff.
Awful.
You also get a horrific fever. It affects your nose, your throat, your tonsils. That's why he's thinking it could be tonsillitis. And it can permanently damage your heart, nerves, and kidneys, even if you do survive.
Wow.
Ugh.
And to make things worse, like I said, it's very contagious. And without the antitoxin, estimated mortality rates in Nome were estimated to be anywhere from 75 to 99.99%.
Wow.
It could just wipe out the whole town.
That's what they're thinking. Anyone who gets it, 3/4 of them, so everyone could die.
And it's super contagious, but he's been hanging out with a few people who've got it, and is he in any danger? Or is it does sound like it's kids are more likely to get it?
Yes, it's especially deadly for children. I think the mortality rate is extremely high for children.
Is this one that we've been vaccinated against?
Yes, absolutely. So these are the days before anyone had been vaccinated against it, but
it's one of the early ones, isn't
yes,
it? Yeah.
Nowadays it's very uncommon, especially in the developed world, but even in the third world, it's not a real problem anymore.
Yep.
I say that. Still probably hundreds of thousands of people get it, but
globally, when you look at the whole big picture,
it's a very small percentage of what it used to be because of inoculation.
Yep.
But back then, that didn't happen. People aren't inoculated, they don't have the immunity to it, and the townsfolk had history to worry them. The Spanish flu pandemic had hit the area only a few years earlier in 1918, causing fatalities in about 50% of the native population of Nome.
Shit.
And 8% of the native population of Alaska overall. So it killed lots of people. More than
only 5 years before.
Yeah. More than 1,000 people died in northwestern Alaska and approximately 2,000 across the state. So this is, about 6 years earlier.
Jeez.
But to wipe out 50% of the native people and then 5 years later you've got another thing.
Oh, man.
That is really contagious for everybody. That's wild. How scary. It would be like, and I mean, knock on wood here, but it would be like very soon there being some other kind of, pandemic.
Yeah, the double whammy.
Yeah, and
it's
we're
coming
like,
through again.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
You know what? I wouldn't mind a little bit more lockdown. I hope that people aren't listening to this in 2 years' time.
God,
and we're locked down again.
naive was she?
I know.
Saying,
I'm knocking on wood as I'm saying this.
No, fuck you. So they're thinking.
You stupid bitch.
Whoa, you're putting words in their mouth now.
So there's a bit of a precedent here. We should be expecting something to come. Is this something that would normally happen?
that you get.
Is that what you're predicting, Dave? That there's going to be another
I'm not
worldwide
predicting
pandemic?
one does not cause the other.
No.
This is just back then they had more things to worry about because they weren't inoculated against
Yeah.
nearly anything. Until the late 19th century, diphtheria was a gruesome killer with no known cause and many ineffective treatments. People tried, but often if the diphtheria didn't kill you, the treatment would.
What?
Oh, the treatment was an axe.
Chop it out. Chop it out. It's in the windpipe. Chop it out. In 1890, it was reported that in Germany, the blood of immune rats and mice could be a cure, which seemed like a step in the right direction. But then the article from the time that I read went on to report that 2 human patients transfused with the animal's blood almost immediately dropped dead.
Yeah.
They're like,
It hasn't quite gone.
diphtheria did not kill these people.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
blood did.
If the blood cured the diphtheria and just killed him in a different way, I think that's a success.
Yeah.
Is the diphtheria alive? No.
No. Next patient, send him in.
Here we go.
But they were onto something because German Dr. Emil von Behring worked out that if you inject diphtheria into a horse, it develops immunity, and then you are able to derive antitoxins, now known to contain antibodies, from the horse's blood. Behring
And then you put them into a rat. Once you take the blood out of the rat, you put it in a dog.
It is wild to think that for a lot of history, medicine was just trial and error. What if I just put the blood into a horse?
Sure, it still is.
Yeah, I think
in
it's-
so many ways.
Yes, but now, you know, with
A little bit safer testing.
yes, but like forever, it's just like, hey, what about we put your blood into that horse and then put that horse's blood back into you? Let's find out what happens.
Now they don't do any errors. It's trial and success.
Well, now it's clinical trial and error.
Yeah, a bit more paperwork involved.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a nightmare. Take me back.
Well, back then,
I just want to put stuff in a horse.
Just put some horse's blood in me,
I
would
said
you?
too much.
Mr. Hands? No, Dr. Hands. Well, Dr. Behring, Behring, won the original Hands, won the first Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1901 for the development of serum therapies against diphtheria.
Wow.
On May 15, 1914, a short article reported that the French newspaper Le Matin had declared the serum one of the 7 wonders of the modern world.
That's the paper that sponsored the Peking to Paris race.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
You remember so
There you
well.
go. What do you think were the other 6 wonders of the modern world in 1914, according to the newspaper?
Oh, the MCG.
Yeah.
Oof, okay.
Telephone. Is that around?
Yeah.
Okay.
The telephone at the MCG.
Yeah. It's a beauty.
What about the locomotive?
Oh, yeah. The Kylie Minogue song.
Yeah.
Do the locomotive. Which was a cover, but still.
Everybody's
I think she made it her
doing a
own.
Yeah,
brand
great
new
track.
dance.
The other 6 were the aeroplane, the wireless, radium, the locomotive, human grafting, and the dynamo.
Oh, that was my name back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Matt was doing porn, that's what he was known
Yeah.
as.
He was known as the,
Send in the dynamo.
the 7th wonder of the modern world.
Send in the dynamo. This just isn't cutting it.
This scene.
Fetch me
Where-
the dynamo.
Oh, imagine you're in a sex scene and you get the tap on the shoulder.
Yeah.
The dynamo will take it from here.
You're in a sex scene. In a porno? All right, we're ready to shoot the sex scene.
We've got all the story out of the way.
Yeah. No, well, I'm just an actor. I do the setup.
And then
Whoa,
the dynamo
hang on.
comes in.
I genuinely am a pool boy, okay? I'm just in the background.
This porno's rated R for sex scenes. Do you think it's appropriate to show the kids?
No nudity? As long as there's no blood or gore, I'm fine.
Adult themes.
So like I said, these days diphtheria is very uncommon in the developed world and less common all over because of immunization. But back in Nome, Dr. Welsh was looking at his antitoxin and there's not enough. There's only enough for a few people and it's all expired by 5 years.
Okay.
And he was too scared to use it.
Oh, right, because you don't know what it does. Maybe it's
He's thinking-
even more.
Well, he's thinking,
Potent.
but it's like,
Potent,
what
yes.
if I kill them because of this and they would have lived, you know?
Yeah, right.
And so is it like, do you administer it to a sick person, to an already sick person, or do you give it to a healthy person so they don't get sick.
You
Does
can
that
do
make sense?
both.
Okay, great.
You can do both.
That
yeah.
is convenient.
To people who are at risk of getting it, so like a family member who's living in the household, or you can give it to the person who is ill, hoping that, you know, it'll act fast enough.
Yep.
But he's worried, like, I can't immunize people against it because there's a chance they get diphtheria, but there's also a chance that this thing kills them.
Yeah.
So he's too scared to act at the moment. He's got a wait and see policy.
Yeah. Sort of like when something is past its best before date and you're like,
He's given it a sniff.
Yeah.
He's got the
am I
sniff
risking
test.
it? 5 years, I'd be chucking it.
Yeah.
A couple of days, I'm like, it's fine.
5-year-old horse's blood.
Yeah, I don't.
5 years, is that any product? Like, or are we just talking dairy?
Probably any product.
Yeah.
It's definitely dairy.
Yeah.
5 years. Yeah, no, I'm
What
not
about
eating
a
that.
canned product? Would you eat that 5 years plus?
Maybe.
Are we in an apocalyptic type scenario?
Yeah.
Or
I'd
is
be
it just
I'd be a
because
bit
I could
sus.
pop down the shops, get another can?
Yeah,
I'll
that's
probably
okay.
do that.
Because when clearing out my grandpa's house, there was a mini can of baked beans right at the back from 2001.
Oh,
Whoa.
good vintage.
I was so tempted, but then I decided to not try
Yeah,
it.
it's probably a good call. It's probably.
And
it
I
might be
regret that,
fine.
actually. My biggest regret. My only regret.
Wow,
Do
your
it all
only
again.
regret.
I did it my way, baby.
Okay.
Two for you to mention. All right, I'll mention it. It was a can of beans.
So on January 22nd, the town was put into lockdown.
Been there.
The kind of thing that a few years ago I would have had to explain. Businesses and schools were closed, transport ceased, and people were told to stay home in a bid to stop the spread.
Yep. Mhm.
Wait, was Dan Andrews in charge over there? Victorian Premier?
Yeah,
They still did school on Zoom, yeah?
The mayor of the town, the Dan Andrews of the town, if you will,
Yes.
George Maynard, also owned the local newspaper called the Nome Nugget.
Oh, I love it.
Love that.
Love it. Remember they had gold in the area earlier? They were very proud of that.
The Nome
No
Nugget.
nugget.
The Nome Nugget.
I love alliteration. And nugget is just fun.
Yeah. Nugget's always fun.
Nugget's always fun.
I think the Denver Nuggets is one of the great sporting team names.
Yeah, agreed.
I love that too.
Yeah.
I think the chicken nugget is one of the great snacks.
Yeah.
I agree.
The gold nugget, one of the best rocks to find in a hole.
Yes, definitely.
One of top five.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I think you could very comfortably say that, yes.
Yeah.
To find in a hole. Did you dig the hole? Was it just a hole?
There's a hole there. No, put that there.
that's
Let's have a little rummage around and see what
That's
we
how
find.
easy it used to be. You'd walk on a beach and go, gold.
Nugget.
Can't do that anymore. So the outbreak, as you'd expect, was front page news and it told people to stay home. But more and more people started to arrive at the one local hospital with symptoms. Some of them were legit, others were caused by panic. You know how it is. You have any sort of cough or sore throat, you're like, I'm dying.
I've got
That's
it.
Got it.
It's my turn. It's my time.
This is my
Don't
time.
mourn me. It was my time. I lived a good life.
I did it my way. On the third day of the lockdown, 6 patients had reported to the hospital with actual signs of diphtheria. Dr. Welsh sent out an urgent telegram to the health authorities in Washington, D.C., begging for their help with more serum to treat the sick to hold off an epidemic.
Yeah, some planes exist. You already told us about locomotives. There's still stuff around. I mean, there's no railway to get them there, but
You
you
got
got
to
to build one.
You can build the track,
Build the track.
meter by
Easy.
meter.
Do it like one of those old movies where they're just putting it out in front.
Wallace and Gromit?
Yeah, Wallace and Gromit. Is that what I was thinking of?
Probably. One of those old movies. You know, before they had actors, they just
Had
used
clay.
they had a bit of clay and shit.
So, but the planes, planes were,
Oh yeah, I'm going to get to the planes.
send them in.
Send in the planes.
Send in the clowns.
Not an option.
Flying planes.
Silver's medicine.
So Telegram, that's really the only way to communicate fast. With Washington, D.C., he's like, we desperately need serum. And meanwhile, fearing he had no other option, he began to administer the 5-year-old expired diphtheria antitoxin.
Uh-oh.
He just had to...
They got a bunch of Hulks now.
Yes. Doesn't that sounds like a Marvel origin
yeah,
story?
they're strong and they're dying.
Yeah, great.
Great.
Now we got 500 Captain Americas here.
Oh, they're too big for the hospital bed. This is ridiculous. He just had to hope for the best. And a couple of days went by and good news came in. More antitoxin had been discovered. It was only enough for a few more people, but it could possibly buy enough time until a larger shipment arrived. The only problem was that the serum was in the Alaskan city of Anchorage, more than 1,000 miles away.
Whoa.
And in between the two cities lay tundra, ice, and snow, and no roads or train tracks.
Oh. And that's like way more kilometers, isn't it?
It's 1.6.
1,600K, baby.
Oof.
So, yeah, but I mean, to an Alaskan, that's not very far. It just happens to be a brutal, at that time of year, it's brutal to get between
the worst possible time of year for this
That's
to
pretty
happen.
far
I think it's pretty far, but I bet an Alaskan be like, oh yeah, I'd jog that.
because it's so huge.
Yeah, and they're just like, every town's remote in Alaska. I mean, I'm saying that like I have any idea. That seems right.
What's 1,600 Ks away from here?
Oh, good question.
Great question.
Like, I mean, Sydney's not even that.
Yes, you're
So
past
it's
Sydney.
beyond Sydney.
Are we going as the crow flies?
I'm going as a car drives.
If a crow's driving, as the crow drives,
We're going Brisbane.
pretty erratically.
Let's go Brisbane from the studio where we are right now. That's 17:59.
Very close.
So pretty
Yeah.
close. And that's a 17-hour, 47-minute drive in a car on highways.
Yes, but with dog power, probably you'd cut that down.
Yeah,
With the
easy.
sled and dog power.
Yeah.
You'd cut that in half
Yeah.
He's
at
got
least.
50,000 dogs.
Yeah, if Kevin Bacon's leading with one of those dogs, then yeah.
It's a long way.
It is a while. All right, it's a fairly long
No,
way.
I totally hear what you're saying. It'd be the same in like Western Australia of like, no, yeah. But when you're in a rush, that's
When you're in a rush and it's like, oh, we don't travel at this time of year.
No,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
yeah.
You do not travel this time
the
of year.
worst possible
But
timing.
6 months later, they'd be like, oh, yeah, I'll pop over.
Yeah, easy.
I'll
I'll be
pop over to
back,
Anchorage.
back in a couple of days.
Yeah.
But the question is, how will they get the serum there in time to stop a full-blown pandemic or epidemic? The clock is ticking. At first, planes were proposed by Matt Stewart and also these people. They were in their pretty early stages in 1925, and only a few very brave pilots were up to the task of flying in an Alaskan winter. The planes were mostly made out of wood, canvas, and fabric, and offered the pilot and the engine very little, if no, protection from the elements.
Jeez.
So it's risky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
well-
engine will freeze or you'll freeze.
We've done a few episodes of the last 6 or 12 months about flying around those times, and it was just a wild time. But all the pilots who did it, they were all nuts.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, they were all just up for death-defying journeys and stuff.
I was standing on a 2-meter ladder yesterday, and it was too high for me. I did not know how these people did this. I had a power sander in one hand. I'm going to the ground. Oh! Oh! My wife's like, "Oh, that sander's making a lot of noise." I'm like, "I haven't even turned it on yet."
It's me.
Oh! Oh! Got the job done. Only found a couple of nuggets in my pants later on, but apart from that, the only bad kind of nugget.
Turkish delight? No.
Nugget of turkey.
A small fleet of planes could be found at Fairbanks, which was about 500 miles away, known as the Fairbanks Airplane Corporation, owned by a group of local businessmen, including William Fentress Thompson, who was the editor of the Fairbanks Daily News Miner newspaper.
They don't make names like they used to.
No.
The paper or the guy?
The
Both.
guy.
William
The guy.
Fentress Thompson.
The middle name.
Editor,
Fintress.
I know, editor of the Fairbanks Daily News Miner newspaper. Described as a dynamic and overconfident man.
Ah, the dynamo.
He was
A worthy adversary.
I don't think overconfident is a compliment.
Absolutely
ever,
not.
Is it?
No, because it says you're more confident than you should be.
Yeah.
Based on your
It
abilities.
says that you go into things very confidently, but you fuck them up.
Mm.
So I don't know if I want this guy on the team.
Yeah, you want to ideally be the right level of confidence.
Yeah.
Underconfident
You
doesn't
want
help.
quietly confident.
Oh, yeah, quietly confident.
That's what you want.
A
You're quietly
steely
confident, yeah.
resolve.
Yeah.
steely-eyed missile man.
Yes.
If you will.
Was he
Well-
available?
He wasn't.
Was he born yet?
John Aaron was not born yet.
Oh, come on.
Come on,
We need you.
Jeez.
But instead they had William Fentress Thompson, the overconfident dynamo. He was a tireless promoter of the Fairbanks Airplane Corporation. Remember, he's a co-owner. And when he caught wind of what was happening in Nome, he proposed that one of his planes could fly the serum to Nome in just 2 days. The problem was, no pilot had ever flown that route in the dead of winter. It was a very dangerous prospect.
And I'm guessing he's not the one flying. He's just the
Nah.
one.
Yes.
He's like, one of my planes can do that. And the pilot's like, fucking what?
What? Sorry, what, William?
Sorry, one of your planes. Not one of your pilots, mate.
But the overconfident William Fentress Thompson reckoned his plane was good enough, so he lobbied the Alaskan governor, Scott Cordell Bone.
Oh my
What?
God.
Governor Bone?
Governor
Bone. Give the
Governor
governor
Bone's
a
office?
bone.
Oh,
Bone by
that's
name,
good
bone
stuff.
by nature.
What does that mean, Dave?
He likes to get out amongst nature. Have sex outside. He's a real performer.
That time of year in Alaska. Whew,
Well,
risky business.
You've gotten pervier and pervier as
And
the
you
years
started
have gone
out pervy.
You talking to me?
on. Yeah, mate.
Oh, come on.
Or maybe you've just gotten a little too comfortable
Yeah. You've become overconfident.
in your perviness.
Where were you going to take Governor Bone? I'm interested to know.
I wasn't going to take Governor Bone anywhere. I think if you'll rewind the tape, I was his receptionist answering the phone saying Governor Bone's office, and I thought that was a bit of fun. I was not thinking he's fucking outside. Okay?
Look, I see a maths equation and I work it out. I put 2 and 2 together and I get Bone.
I was thinking bone and there's a dog thing, you know, so like the dogs would go and fetch him. And also the serum.
Or he is a dog.
Yeah, I had a whole cartoon in my head.
Yeah, you just went straight to porn.
Well, this is an R-rated story. We've already established that.
All right, he's gone to Governor Bone.
And he's like, Bone, give me permission to use one of my planes to make the delivery. My plane can do it. My guy can do it.
My guy, I got the guy.
The editor, William Fentress Thompson, used his newspaper to publish articles about planes being the best option.
Jesus Christ.
He's a real self-promoter, like I say.
That's good journalism.
Because this could be great. Yeah, this could be a real win for him. But much
really unbiased.
A real boon for bone.
Come on, that writes itself. You should be a sub-editor.
Thank you. Wait, that wasn't a compliment, was it?
Thompson's pushing for the planes, but much to his annoyance, Governor Bone thought aeroplanes were too unreliable. He
Just a passing fad.
Yeah.
They'll never take off.
Yeah.
Well, ideally they will.
Yeah, your problem is your planes don't take off. Okay? You've been on the ground for days. He instead opted a more old-fashioned route using sleds pulled by dogs.
Yes.
Hey, why not both?
Race him.
Race them. Put a bit half in each, and just race them. Maybe tie a string between the two, or a rope even. String probably won't work.
Oh,
So whichever one fails, the other one gets dragged along. So the plane's either being dragged along by the Kevin Bacon and his crew, or the plane just drags these dead dogs along.
Either way. But no, I think I like what you're saying, because if the plane starts going down, you just cut the rope.
Yeah.
You let the plane go.
Yeah.
But if the plane succeeds, the dogs have been pulled Santa's sleigh style.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully still alive.
Yeah. Sure, why not?
What's wrong with you? The plane's dragging dead dogs. Oh.
I, again, picturing a cartoon. Don't want to be picturing that as your dogs, you know? I think sometimes when I make these dog-related jokes, listeners are picturing their own dogs. Don't do that. Picture just a
Cartoon dogs.
Humphrey's not lasting 40 seconds in the Alaskan wilderness.
I mean, I actually think, because sometimes Goose is like pulling so hard and with such intensity that he is like, his back legs are completely straight behind him. He's like, it's like he's flying. He looks like
He sounds like a little frog.
yeah,
He's a nugget as well.
He's a real nugget. He's insane. I sometimes think he'd be pretty great as a sleigh dog.
He's a ball of muscle.
Yeah, he'd be great, and he just wants to run. But the cold would kill him instantly. Frenchies are very susceptible.
Right.
They can't handle hot or cold. It's got to
Okay.
be just right. So yeah, he'd be dead. But fuck, he'd have fun for those last few seconds of his life.
And he'd get a great aeroplane ride.
Yeah.
Been dragged along.
You know the skiers. They do a big jump. Skis, and they're like they make themselves into like a little pencil.
Yeah, Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah, that
type.
sort of style. That's what he looks like sometimes.
Is he fully airborne?
Pretty much. No, he's not airborne. He's just like dragging along the ground.
He's landborne.
He's landborne. Anyway, so I think he'd be pretty good actually for a French bulldog. If any,
Just needs a little coat.
he just needs a little coat on, some booties maybe.
Booties, mittens.
A little
But
beanie.
you can't get too hot. So the coat has to be air conditioned.
That's my
The
boy.
perfect temperature.
He can't move because we put so many gadgets on him. And go.
But we also fit him with wheels and stuff and a motor.
And we put a little GoPro on the front so we could see.
So it ends up just basically being a go-kart.
He's a remote control dog.
Yeah.
It's actually sick.
That's actually really sick. We can make him do all sorts of spins and moves. Look, we'll make him flip.
Good boy.
And his eye, like, he can't move, but his eyes are just looking
Yeah.
shit scared.
His tongue is frozen, but he's having a good time.
And keeping all this in mind, the governor's heard all this and gone, dogs are the way.
Get him in.
Let's go with the dogs.
I mean, the sled dogs are amazing.
Because he thought that was a much more reliable option. After all, this mode of transport was proven in the area. That's how they delivered mail in winter.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So they got mail to Nome, but it was much slower. If they did just put the serum in with a regular mail route, it would take 30 days.
Oof.
As usually the sleds usually travel about 30 miles in one day, pull up at a roadhouse, stay overnight, and then keep traveling during the day. But they didn't have 30 days. By that time, many more people would be sick and dying.
Right. So I need to go quick. What are we talking? Huskies?
That's one of the dogs.
Oh, they just had one of each kind of dog.
Just to see how it goes.
One husky.
They're
A
like, all right,
Dalmatian.
day one, Pomeranian did not do so well.
Put a line through the
Very
Pomeranian.
cute.
Yeah, get the Chihuahuas ready.
Mush. All right, okay.
Why do they say mush?
Didn't look into that.
I think I've looked into it at some point. It's just a word that means go or something like that.
Right. I like it.
Yeah, it's much
Mush.
mush.
Mushing comes from the French word marcher, which means to walk.
Oh, that's cute.
Spelt marcher.
Huh.
There you go. French prospectors and voyagers who explored and hunted across North America in the mid to late 1800s probably introduced the term.
I like it.
Contrary to popular belief, the word mush is not really used as a command for the dogs as the sound is too soft. This is nh.gov.
Is that another one of these Disney lies? Do they say that in that movie you watched?
Probably. That would have been where I got it from.
Yeah, Disney, they famously fact check things as they go.
Yeah. Mary
There's
Poppins.
nothing in the rule book.
So Governor Bone decided to send the serum as far north as possible via train. Then it would travel west the rest of the way via a relay of dog teams traveling both day and night over the perilous 700-mile journey.
Day and night.
Day and night, because usually they only travel during the day.
Yeah.
Because it gets very cold and it's very dark at night, obviously, out
There's
there.
got to be a better way to get ice back to Springfield.
Do you know
I
another
lost-
way?
I lost 3 men on this expedition.
The
Get
ser-
that reference?
Nah. I'm cool.
Simpsons The Bobo episode, good stuff. The serum was stored in little glass bottles and then wrapped in a quilt for protection from breakage, but also to stop them from becoming frozen. If they froze, they could be rendered unusable.
Oh my God.
So another thing to think about, you got to make sure they don't break, also don't freeze out
So
there.
you got an electric blanket to keep the serums warm, but you're not allowed to have a little snuggle in there. Keep yourself warm.
It's ridiculous.
Now you got to snuggle the dogs, and they smell bad.
So they packed them up and left Anchorage on a train that headed north to a tiny village called Nenana, the last stop on the Alaskan Railway. Dog sleds would handle the rest of the trip, which would follow the Tanana and Yukon rivers until they reached the coast and the frozen Norton Sound, which they would follow the Itarod Trail until they got into Nome. Like I said, all up 700 miles through some of the harshest terrain and weather on planet Earth. And you're never going to believe this. Due to a high-pressure system blowing in from the Arctic, the area they were traveling through happened to be experiencing record low temperatures.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Just what we want to hear.
It's the coldest it's ever been.
Oh my God.
The stage is set. Let's go for
in
it.
an
Day
already
and night.
very cold place.
Exactly.
Great.
But these sled dog drivers, or mushers, were experienced. Sled dogs have been used in the Arctic for at least 8,000 years, and along with boats were the only transportation in Arctic areas until the introduction of semi-trailer trucks, snowmobiles, and
razor
aeroplanes.
scooters. Oh.
And snow razor scooters
razor
Whoa.
in the 20th century.
That's sick. Do a flip.
Land on the snow, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, dog sleds were relied upon to haul supplies in areas that were inaccessible by other methods. Proven track record, used them forever. And in some parts of the world, dog sleds are still commonly used for transportation. For example, the Sirius Dog Sled Patrol is an elite Danish naval unit that's used in Greenland. A musher and their dogs head out for months at a time to patrol the massive country.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you know, Greenland's massive. Apparently it takes them a year or two to patrol the whole way around the coast. and then they start again.
Oh, if you were casing that joint, as someone who wanted a heist Greenland, you'd be like, all right, we've only got the next 11 and a half months
Okay.
before they come back around. So we got to move quick.
Got to move quick.
Oh my God.
If we want to
No
steal the
time
sites.
to dilly or dally.
If you get busted by them, you are really unlucky.
Yeah.
You're importing pirated DVDs. Oh, for God's sake. What are the
damn
chances? First up on the relay of the dog sled from Nanana was William Shannon, a part-time male driver who was known for his love of drinking and was nicknamed Wild Bill. He was waiting at the station with 9 dogs, and as soon as he received his special 20-pound or 9-kilo cargo, they were off and disappeared into the pitch black night.
Do you think the old nightclub at Southland, Wild Bill's, was named after him?
I think so.
A tribute. Is there a photo of him on the wall?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be why. Yep,
Yeah.
that makes
Nah,
sense.
that makes sense. It's nice when you put the things together. You
Yeah.
can connect the dots there.
Wild Bill, no relation. Meanwhile, in Nome, a Norwegian-born musher called Leonard Seppala set out and headed east. His plan was to travel 300 miles, meet the mushers coming west, and then turn around and take the serum back to Nome, as he was deemed the only one who could tackle the last and most challenging part of the journey.
Whoa.
Wow.
So he's some sort of sled badass.
He's a badass.
He's the only one that can do it.
The dogs surely were playing their part.
Yeah.
No, just him.
He's like, I don't need a dog. I'm walking.
Strap me up.
Yeah. He pulls the sled. It's only 9 kilos. You don't need the sled.
Use your pockets.
Nah. I've been training my whole life for this. Like those absolute. He's become one of the dogs.
He has to get into the mind of a
Like
dog.
one of those absolute wild people that pull an aeroplane or something. They
Yeah.
strap the harness on. He's just pulling pulling a plane through the snow. I thought this wasn't a challenge enough. I thought I'd set a world record whilst I was here. Now, this would have been pretty daunting for even the most experienced of mushers, but Seppala was a racing champion referred to as King of the Trail.
Ooh, that's nice.
While most drivers considered 30 miles or 48k a long run, Seppala travelled between 50 miles and 100 miles, which is up to 160 kilometres most days, working his dogs for 12 hours at a time.
Oh, poor dogs.
He kept his dogs fit by training them even in summer when the ice thawed, getting them to pull a cart on wheels.
Yeah, great. They're like, oh, cool, snow's over. This is our
our
holiday
Bit of a
season.
downtime.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Bit of dog time. He's like, strap him to the cart.
And the dog's like, you know what? I'm heading to the beach.
Yeah.
Hooroo.
Want to find some gold.
It's a day off for me. I got to look after my mental health.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, geez, those dogs pulled the short straw, didn't they? Getting teamed up with this
You're
psychopath.
like, oh my God. No, not this guy.
Not again.
Because he was competitive, loved a challenge, and loved the spotlight. He used smaller Siberian Huskies. That was his dog of choice.
I love that idea that people are like, I've got a competitive advantage here. I use a smaller dog.
Smaller dog. Apparently thought that they were more reliable, stronger, could go further. And he set out with
That worked out really well in the Peking to Paris race. There was one racer, remember, who thought smaller, lighter cars was the way to go, and he did.
Do they technically have a tricycle?
It was basically a
Who
tricycle.
needs a fourth wheel? That's the thing that'll slow me down. So he set off with the best team he could muster. Now,
He could muster.
Sean Connery's in charge. March, onwards, into the Alaskan wilderness.
It's so funny because it does sound great. It's such a great word, but it's so funny that it basically means walk.
Yeah.
Walk. And then they're not even saying it. Walk. I'm walking here. I'm mushing here. That's what he's saying. Mushers and their team of dogs have an incredibly close relationship. The dogs are bred and trained to run as a cohesive unit and together can pull an incredible amount. According to PBS, along with their power comes a huge responsibility. Also, appetite.
Of course.
Thanks, Uncle Doug, or whatever his name was from What was the Spider-Man dog guy name? It's not
Ben.
Doug. Ben.
Uncle
I
Ben.
was going to say Uncle Jerry. Thanks, Uncle Jerry.
Uncle Leo.
Uncle Leo. While a normal mutt, this is from PBS, a normal mutt might get by on 1,500 calories a day, sled dogs can easily consume up to 10,000 calories per day.
Wait, can you say that again?
So a normal dog eats 1,500 calories per day.
Yes. Yep.
A sled dog can easily consume 10,000 calories per day.
Whoa.
I don't think The Rock eats that much.
Really?
Well, he'd be up there. He eats a lot.
What do you reckon a dog eats on cheat day? How many pancakes?
Yeah. How many calories does The Rock eat? He eats, this is in an interview from 2022, between 6,000 and 8,000 a day.
Wow, the dogs out-eat the Rock.
Yeah.
Suck shit the Rock.
That is incredible.
Wow.
If The Rock hears that, I just get the feeling that he's that kind of guy. I'd be like, I'm not going to get beaten by a dog.
Yeah. That's a lot. But I mean, yeah, the energy that they're putting out is insane. And they're running for 12 hours straight.
Yeah,
like
amazing.
a human would need to eat that much if we're running 12 hours straight. It's insane.
10,000 a day.
That's wild. My dog gets 2 little scoops
Of?
of food
Oh, okay.
a day. 2 little scoops.
I like that measurement for food.
Scoops?
Scoops.
Yeah, it is.
How
handy.
hungry are you? How many scoops of pasta do you want tonight?
Or 2.5 scoops. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, big boy.
With a big spoon?
Or 2.5 before it's boiled or after, because that's a very different amount.
That is a
That
very
is
different
very
amount.
different.
Falling for that trap nearly every day of my life. Did it last night. Try not
Really?
to anymore.
This
But
does not look like much pasta.
yeah, I'll chuck a little more in.
Yeah, every time.
How much
Oh,
rice
no.
could a kilo be? I've got to feed my whole family.
Including the dogs. And I got Siberian Huskies.
Yeah.
They might seem smaller, but they have a big appetite.
Huge.
So that means you've also got to be carrying a whole ton of food as well.
Yeah, that must be what most of the sled is.
Yeah. They
Just
eat the
supplies.
sled at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, it's made of kippers and chocolate.
Yeah, wow.
So
Cans of Pal.
frozen solid. As his lead dog, Seppala chose his most trusted pup, a 12-year-old dog called Togo.
12?
12-year-old. That's very old to be a lead dog.
That's an old dog.
Yeah, it's an old dog
Yeah,
off
but
the course.
It's an old dog of like an apartment dweller. You know, it's just lived on a couch its whole life,
Yeah,
having
what's
a
the
great
dog?
time.
They say doggy is about 7, so this
Yeah.
is he's chosen his lead man, an 84-year-old.
Come on, boys.
We can do this.
We've got some running to do. Mush.
So apparently the Siberian Huskies' life expectancy is 12 to 14 years.
Yeah.
Great. So he could run for another 2 years.
12's
up to-
old for a dog. I mean,
It's old.
these are mega fit dogs.
But honestly, it's super old. A lot of people are like, that is too old for your lead dog.
Wow.
But he knew Togo was special,
Oh.
despite his first impressions of the dog. Early on, as a result of his relatively small size, illness, and bad behavior as a young pup, Leonard Seppala decided that Togo was not even sled dog material and gave him away to be a house pet when he was 6 months old. Togo spent a few weeks at his new home before he jumped through the glass of a shut window and ran several miles back to Leonard's kennel.
Oh.
Broke the glass ceiling for dogs.
Yes, he did it. He did it. Impressed, Seppala decided to keep him, and he eventually became the lead dog. He's like, this dog's got moxie.
Yeah.
All right, I'll put him on the track.
He just took it back from a family.
The family's like, we love that
That was our
dog.
dog. He broke a window, but it's kind of, you take risks when you get a new pet.
Yeah, you
Puppies,
know they're
they
going
grow
to
out of
destroy a few things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This does sound like a million different sports movies where it's like,
Mm.
it's an underdog
Yes.
story.
This is literally
Well,
a dog, though.
yeah. I don't know if it's literally an underdog, but it's literally a dog.
That's amazing.
Have you guys heard of Togo the dog? It's another
I've heard
famous
the
dog in
name
the
Yeah.
story.
Togo,
But
maybe I'm thinking of Tojo, the Japanese general, whatever. I get those two confused. He was a dog. Better look him up, make sure he's not a good guy.
together with their team of dogs behind them, Seppala and Togo set off for their 600-mile or 1,000-plus kilometre round journey
Wow.
on January 28. Seppala's section of trail featured a dangerous shortcut across the frozen Norton Sound, which is an inlet of the Bering Sea. The shortcut could save a full day of travel, but was seen as incredibly dangerous because the ice on Norton Sound was in constant motion due to currents from the sea and the incessant wind. Small cracks in the ice could suddenly widen, and then both driver and dog could be plunged into the freezing water.
Oh my God.
There was also a real risk that a sustained east wind could push the ice out to sea, and a team caught on a drifting floe could find itself stranded out in open ocean water. Imagine that. It breaks and you just start to float out. No way of getting back.
That feels like a Disney cartoon movie, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden floating out on an iceberg.
Which would be terrible, obviously, for Seppala and the dogs, but on the way back would also mean the life-saving medicine would be lost forever.
Yeah.
So it was super risky, but they decided that time was of the essence and took the shortcut on the way to meet the relay team with the medicine. The conditions were horrific. If the wind blew from the east, it could reach speeds as high as 110 miles per hour, which could easily flip over the sled,
Whoa.
pushing dogs off course, and it caused a wind chill as low as, and this is unfathomably cold, minus 116.5 degrees Fahrenheit or 82.5 below Celsius.
No. I'd be like, give me diphtheria. I'm out.
Oh,
I don't think I'd even
Fucking
have
what?
the option. I think I would just die.
Yeah.
I'd be trying to get out the words.
Dead.
can I just, whatever. Just lie down and die.
Oh, I'd be lying down to die. That's horrendous.
You really hope some sort of survival instincts kick in for us, but
I don't think so. I'm not built for that.
you and Goose,
Oh,
Yeah.
similar.
Who's lasting longer, you or Goose?
well, me by a few seconds, just because I'm much bigger than him.
And you wouldn't want him to die alone.
Well,
Don't worry, dog. I'm dying too, if that gives you some comfort.
good boy.
I've looked up Tojo. He was Prime Minister of Japan during World War II and was tried and executed for war crimes. So he was a dog.
Okay, great.
I stand by it.
Phew. Worth checking.
Back in Nome itself, things were getting worse. There were 5 new suspected cases in 2 days, and Dr. Welsh tried the expired serum on more patients. Thankfully, they seemed to improve, but he was quickly running out. Because remember, he only had limited supply. He started giving it out, and now that vial is running low.
Has he tried this trick? It's a classic. Parents are away. You've drunk some of their scotch. You fill it up with tea.
Ah, fantastic. You tell people you're injecting them with
Yeah.
medicine.
You
Bit of
just sort of-
placebo.
It's slightly diluted with
Yeah.
cold tea.
Local town mayor George Maynard, who was also the editor of the local newspaper, remember, wrote a cry for help in the form of a press release to the Associated Press. He wrote, "There is only one physician here, and new cases are appearing daily." The story was picked up by dozens of newspapers, and the tale of the isolated Alaska town and the dog mushers racing against the clock to save their lives was an instant media sensation.
Ooh.
Several alarmist articles were written with headlines like, "Dog teams race to fight deaths in Nome plague," and less catchy ones like, "Every dog has his day, and Nome epidemic has given him opportunity."
Yeah, all right. Send me in. I'm sub-editing
we need
this
a
paper.
That's good
Wait,
stuff.
what? That's got real first draft energy.
And the nation was absolutely gripped. And because it was impossible to get any local photos out of the frozen north, remember there's no way in or out, some newspaper editors resorted to making their own sensationalized photos to accompany the articles. They just take a photo of someone in the snow or some dogs and say, "Here they are.
Wow.
Cheer them on."
Love that.
Cool. Again, some great journalism.
Every dog has his day.
Very ethical.
Has given him opportunity.
That sounds like it was translated into
Yeah.
Russian and back again or
Yeah.
something.
As Seppala and Togo bravely headed east, Wild Bill kicked off the relay west through the Yukon-Kuyukuk area, which is one of the 2 coldest points in all of the interior and is colder than the Arctic itself.
No, thank you.
At the start of the relay, the temperature dropped to 54 below Fahrenheit, which is negative 47 degrees Celsius.
Whoa.
You should see Jess's face right now. She's disgusted with
I
that
am
temperature.
disgusted.
Positive 47 is so hot.
Yeah.
The
negative
equivalent
40.
of cold.
Oof.
That'd be so cold.
That's the only way we can think about it. I remember being in Amsterdam. Have I told you this before? Being in Amsterdam, talking about how it can get quite cold in Melbourne, and saying it gets under 10. And the bartender just went, "I'm so sorry, but fuck you." She wasn't Dutch. I forgot where she was from, but she was like, it gets so cold that like snot freezes in your nose.
Oh.
Fuck, this is like that, but way worse.
It's so
bad.
I
can't even imagine.
We truly can't. We don't get that cold where we live. We don't get anywhere near that. It gets to under 10 degrees and we're like, bloody hell, staying inside today.
Someone in our Patreon Facebook group lives right in a cold place, and they've been posting photos out the front. It's just like full covered with snow. Out,
like a winter wonderland.
I'm like, hey, look, I love the idea of it, but just when you're able to go inside and have a cup of tea by the fire.
Visiting it for the novelty.
Yeah.
Not living with it. I think it's very different.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess when the conditions that you live in, you just sort of set yourself up better.
You get used to it. You got better quality clothing and, wild.
Not these tattered rags we get around in.
Because of the dropping temperature and bad conditions on the trail caused by ruts and marks from horse-drawn carriages, curse you, which could easily tear up the paw pads of the dogs and injure their ankles, Wild Bill diverted the team onto the smoother ice of the Tanana River, which is riskier.
Right.
Can fall through. Bill and his dogs travelled all night, but sadly not without incident. Despite jogging alongside the sled to keep warm, so he had to run the whole way, Wild Bill developed hypothermia. When he handed over the serum to the next musher, his face was black with frostbite.
Whoa.
And his team of 9 dogs had been reduced to 6, dropping 3 off on the way due to cold and exhaustion. Sadly, 2 didn't make it.
Dropping them off where?
So there's these sort of little outposts on the way, so he drops the dogs off because they're struggling so badly. And it's like, I'll come back for you, which he did, but 2 of them, it was too cold.
That's how hard they're working.
He's jogging alongside the sled.
Yeah, just to keep warm.
And still getting hypothermia.
Yeah. And his face, because
how do you cover your entire face?
It'd be so hard.
What the fuck?
This is to save
wild.
the kids.
Oh, I understand. But whoa.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, it is.
And he's only the first in a chain of many, many people that have to do this.
I'm guessing that Disney took away some of the grimness of this in their movie portrayals.
Jess, you remember any of the grimness of this?
I don't remember any of the dogs dying, but they might have.
Do you remember a man losing his face?
No, I don't remember that. They definitely left that bit out.
But he made it, Wild Bill. He did his part. He handed the serum to 20-year-old Edgar Callens, who, like the rest of the men in this part of the relay, were indigenous Alaskans of the interior, mostly Alaskan Athabascans. Callens warmed the serum by the fire and then headed off at a time when the conditions were only getting worse.
Oh, God.
The temperature had fallen to minus 49 degrees Celsius, or minus 56 Fahrenheit, causing Callens' hands to freeze to the sled's handlebar, requiring the owner of the Manly Hot Springs Roadhouse to pour boiling water on the birch wood bar for thawing to get his gloves off.
Appropriate place to stop, the hot springs.
Beautiful.
I think that's good marketing.
Yeah. Jeez. I mean, it would be, in some ways, that'd be ideal. You'd be like, I'd love to jog along the side, but my hands are stuck.
It's my hands.
So I'm going to have to stay on the sled.
Callens passed the package on to Johnny Folger, who gave the precious cargo to Sam Joseph, who was tasked with another perilous night shift.
Wow.
That's the hardest bit.
Any old-timey guy with the name Johnny something always sounds cool.
Yeah.
Johnny Folger.
Johnny Folger. You just picture him being a dashing gent.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
You get it?
Oh, I get it.
This guy's a gent, and let me tell you what he's up to. He's dashing.
He's dashing.
He's dancing. He's prancing. He's vixen.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
He's Comet. He's Cupid. He's Donda. He's blitzing it.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely killing it, this guy. Johnny Tandenbaum, or whatever his name was. Johnny Liptonstein?
You didn't interrupt him quick enough, and now he's just spiraling.
Johnny.
I would just say, Dave, do go on.
Johnny.
No, I've said the magic words.
Next up was Harry Pitka, who knew exactly how awful an epidemic could be, as he'd lost 6 siblings to a previous outbreak of tuberculosis. So that's another big inspiration for these guys.
Right.
So they're saving kids, and also a lot of them, they're saving fellow Indigenous people because they know it's terrible, especially for their communities.
Their own families and their own community, yeah.
Tuberculosis, that's the wasting disease, is it?
The consumption.
The consumption, yeah. The one that sort of kicked off the vampire thing.
The wasting.
Isn't that, I think no, you waste away, but it's called consumption.
It consumes you.
Yeah.
It makes you waste. Every 30 miles or so, a new brave man and his dogs would step up to take the serum.
Interesting, it's all men, isn't it, Jess? As a feminist, I just think that it's a shame that women didn't step up in the time of the children's need. That's all.
And as a woman, I say, fuck that. Fuck that. You know?
Yeah.
I want equality, but I do not want to take the bins out. You know?
Yeah.
That's a boy job.
Yeah, that's what my wife says when I've got to pick up poo or something. She goes, the feminism has left my body.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Interesting. As a feminist, I think that's interesting.
Yeah, well, I say to her, the femanism has never left my body. As an ally.
Just
I will
threw
allow
something
you.
at Matt.
As an
So
ally,
shut
I'll
up.
allow you to pick up that poo.
Luckily, she threw it like a girl.
You flinched like a little bitch. Anyway, they're handing it on. This is wild.
The ninth man, I'm afraid this is a man, they're all men, was Bill McCarty, who was traveling with a lead dog called Prince. He had to trust Prince with his life and all the other dogs' lives when a whiteout occurred. The conditions were so awful he couldn't see his own hand in front of his face.
That's so scary.
Can't see anything. He had to trust that Prince could smell and sense the way and continue to follow the trail. I heard a musher say that a good lead dog can go over a trail once and then 5 years later they'll come back and they'll remember it perfectly.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow. It's so interesting, isn't it, that there's just like breeds of dogs that can just do stuff like that so easily. And sometimes a treat will be between my dog's front paws and he cannot find it. It's on the ground.
true.
It's there, bud. It's there. Come on, look. Look, here it is. And he's looking everywhere. Where?
That's been selectively bred for ages, right? Just to look cool, not to do stuff.
Yeah, there's a type of dog that should not exist. But I'm glad he does. Fucking idiot. It's there. Oh, I'll get it. Hand feed it to him.
Still like, what, you want me to eat your hand? Okay.
What is it? Huh?
By the time the relay got to the 12th musher, Charlie Evans, at Bishop Mountain, the temperature had dropped again. Now we're at minus 53 Celsius, negative 64 Fahrenheit. That's so cold that any exposed skin will blister and the cold air will scorch your lungs.
Oh.
As he raced below them, Evans could hear trees cracking from the cold, popping like guns going off. It's so cold the trees are cracking.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
When Evans got to the Yukon River, he found that some of the frozen river had cracked, causing what was akin to a minefield. He had to wind along the river rather than over it out of fear of the ice falling below him. When it's that cold, if you get wet, you will die.
Yep.
It's as simple and terrifying as that. A few miles down the track, his two lead dogs began to stiffen up before collapsing under the conditions, and with no other option, Evans had to hitch himself to the front of the pack and pull the sled with them.
No.
An incredible badass.
What?
And there's this great doco that I'll link to called Icebound, the greatest dog story ever told, made by Discovery Channel, and it's narrated by Patrick Stewart. And when it gets to this part of the story where Charlie Evans hitches himself to the front, he says in a beautiful Sir Patrick Stewart accent, he had become his own lead dog. It's so funny.
Wow. And now the dogs are like, because the dogs can run faster than humans.
Yeah.
So they then kind of like,
Oh my God,
come
this
on,
is the
mate.
slowest
Could
lead
you
dog
not
ever.
have gone to the back of the pack?
Yeah.
You are not lead dog material.
You're not lead dog. You can't smell where we're going.
Amazingly, Charlie Evans made it and passed the serum on to the last Alaskan Athabascan musher, Jack Nikolai, a.k.a. Jack Screw. That was his nickname, Jack
Screw.
A local legend known as a very small but very tough man, he handed the serum onto Victor Anagic, an Inupiat man. The serum had been travelling for 3 days but was still 240 miles from Nome, where the suspected cases of diphtheria had blown out to 16 and they were almost completely out of the expired antitoxin. So numbers are still going up and the medicine is going down.
How long was the journey at the start?
They're hoping to do it in about a week.
But how far was it?
700 miles.
And they've got 200 and something to go.
Yeah, but it's the hardest part of the journey.
Right.
According to a reporter living in the town, they wrote, quote, "All hope is in the dogs and their heroic drivers." Wow. Remember Alaska Governor Bone?
Of course.
And
I'll never forget. Well, I will forget.
Governor Bone's office.
See, that's fun. Governor Bone, I have your wife on the phone. Rhymes.
Cheryl Bone. Cheryl, is that you?
Cheryl, darling.
Well, around this time on January 30th, he received a telegram, this is Governor Bone, from the Universal News Syndicate in California asking for updates and a comment on how the serum run was going. Because remember, it's a media storm over in mainland America, but they can't really get much first-hand information out of Nome. The syndicate offered Bone a large amount of money for comment and for what was basically speculation about how it was going and how it would all end up. He had some idea that a relay, that the relay was going on west, as people had sent telegrams along the way, so he sort of had some information, but no one had heard from Seppala, the Lone Ranger heading east with Togo. But Bone wrote about Seppala anyway, saying that he'd already crossed the Sound, crossed the frozen bit, and headed to the town of Keltag. He didn't know, but it sounded good, so he just told the newspapers that.
Oh, dear.
Which is not great journalism.
No, it's not true. So it's not journalism at all. It's fake news.
It was, because Bone... I love, is that a Trump impression?
Well, no, but maybe. Matt, you do it.
Okay. What does he sound like?
I don't know.
China. Fake news.
Yeah, that's better, though.
Dr. Evil. $1 million. So he said, yeah, he's going to stop at Keltag. He didn't know that the relay had already passed through Keltag, going the other way, and were nearly at the coast. So they were supposed to meet Seppala at Keltag, but they just kept going.
I could do Biden.
Okay, give us Biden.
No, I could do Dana Carvey's Biden.
Okay.
He says he always finishes by saying, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, that was worth it.
Come on. Guys, come on. Pirates of the Caribbean. He does it. It's real fun when he does it.
An impression of an impression. Always fun.
Always good. So they've gone further than they were planning to.
Yeah, they'd kept going. They were told to expect to see Seppala coming any time now, and that they would flag him down and then give him the medicine.
Yeah, because Seppala is going from the town. He's leaving the town to meet them.
Yes, he's heading east, they're heading west, and they were going to meet in Keltag, but they went through the town.
Yep.
They're like, we're making great time, we'll keep going. And when we see him on the trail, we'll flag him down, hand him the medicine, and he'll turn around.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a little bit risky because if you miss him, he keeps going one way, you keep going the other way.
Yeah. I'd say just wait in the town.
So they kept the relay going, and after 3 days, they'd hit the frozen Bering Sea. There was no way to contact Seppala to see how he was going, and he had no idea that the serum had travelled further than the agreed rendezvous point, and he didn't know that the new plan was to flag him down. So it is possible that they will miss each other.
Yeah, especially if, there's circumstances here where instead of being on the river, they're just to the side of the river. And if you can't see your hand, you can't see someone just on the other side of the river. It's risky.
It's risky. The serum got to Shaktoolik and was handed to a half-Russian, half-Inuit man by the name of Henry Ivanov, who had been waiting in case Seppala didn't arrive. He didn't know, but Seppala wasn't far off. But a storm was coming, and Ivanov was racing to get ahead of it, having already travelled 43 miles that day. Remember, they usually only travel about 30, so he's already pushed it, but he's got to keep going because there's a storm coming. At first, he didn't see Seppala coming in the other direction. At this point, Ivanov had paused along the trail outside Shaktoolik because he had to straighten out his team, which had gotten tangled. The dogs all got tangled after they'd had a frightening encounter with a reindeer, and all the dogs are freaked out.
Dasher?
No, Prancer.
Oh,
of course, it's always Prancer makes it about themselves.
Prancer's the bad boy.
Fucking hell, Prancer.
Gotta make up for that girly name. I don't prance. I stomp. Call me Stomper.
All right, Prancer. Okay.
Settle down. Settle down, princess. All right, sweetheart.
Jeez, here we go. Hey? Don't get hysterical, Prancer.
So Ivanov's there with the dogs on the side of the trail, getting ready again, and he sees Seppala coming. And Seppala comes around the corner and sees a man waving and shouting at him. Ivanov was yelling, the serum, I have it here. Pretty amazing that in those conditions they saw each other.
Yeah.
Seppala quickly grabbed the package and he and his team of dogs turned around to immediately retrace their steps all the way back to Nome.
Wow.
So just immediately went, no time for chit-chat, buddy. See you later.
So they end up doing, 3 times what they would normally do in a day?
Yep.
Amazing.
Wild.
When he got back to frozen Norton Sound, the frozen ocean, he had to make a dramatic decision. The fastest way back to Nome was directly over Norton Sound across the frozen ocean, but otherwise he'd have to go the long way around. But it was getting dark, sun's quickly setting, A storm was brewing, and crossing the sound meant going across 20 miles of open, frozen sea, which was perilous in the dark. One false move, the ice could crack, and it could be all over. Not to mention the lack of any protection against the elements out there. He'd been told by his boss, Mark Summers, that with so many lives on the line, it was safety first and speed second. He should never put the serum at risk. But Seppala looked out at the frozen ocean sound and decided to go for it anyway.
He's going to put the serum at risk.
Yeah, he's going to risk everything.
Wow.
He gave the order to Togo, his trusted 12-year-old lead dog, to step out onto the ice, and they were off, the night closing in on them. He listened for the sound of the ice cracking, but couldn't hear anything over the wind. He just had to trust Togo. Finally, they stopped for the night at an Inuit shelter, and when Seppala woke up the next morning, the ice that he and the team had travelled across was all gone, and it had floated out to sea. So they'd only just made it.
Far out.
If they'd stalled or had any delays, they would have floated out to sea and no one ever would have seen them again. Wild.
Wow. Good job, Togo.
Great work, Togo.
You 84-year-old man.
I know.
Right?
The next day, they pulled another 13-hour straight shift, and having covered 200 miles in total of the hardest part of the relay, absolutely exhausted, Seppala handed the serum over to another musher, Charlie Olsen, who took the serum a brief distance and handed it over to Gunnar Carson, another Norwegian-born musher. Carson was 43 years old and 3 years younger than his countryman Seppala. They both worked at the mine in Nome, and Carson often worked as Seppala's assistant. He was seen as Seppala's protege.
Seppala too, back in the habit.
Carson had been asked to assist in the relay, but he didn't have his own dog team, so he had to ask back home. He had to ask Seppala's wife, Constance, if he could borrow some of their dogs for the mission.
How many fucking dogs have they got? If Seppala's out with 9 dogs, and he's like, can I borrow 9 more dogs? And she's like, all right, well, I'll round some up because I got heaps of dogs.
Part of his thing was he bred dogs.
Wow.
And he had heaps and chose the strongest ones and trained them.
Wow.
So he asked the wife,
too many dogs.
Constance, can I have a dog team? She agreed, and Gunnar Carson chose Balto as his lead dog. Yes! This was seen as an unusual call, as Balto was used as a freight dog. Seppala, Balto's owner and trainer, didn't think much of Balto, who he thought lacked speed, and he'd never picked him for any of his racing teams. But Gunnar Carson, for whatever reason, chose Balto as his lead dog.
It's like that movie where the zebra goes in the horse race.
It's exactly like that.
It's exactly like that. Because the zebra is not... Like, everybody underestimated the zebra. And everyone said, zebras are not for horse racing. Because they are not horses. But that little zebra said, just watch me
Put me
run.
in, coach.
It's exactly like that.
How'd the
man.
zebra go? Spoilers, but how'd it go?
I've never seen it.
I don't think...
I just thought that
okay.
the movie poster was funny. I think it's called Racing Stripes.
That's right.
Wow.
It's a zebra in a horse race.
I can only assume it wins.
Fun in
Surely.
shoes.
It's a kid's movie, so I'm sure it does. Or
A
they
kids'
Or they
movie.
learn. I thought it was a gritty drama. You're fun today. Dave, do go on.
So Gunnar Carson and Balto now have the medicine. And at 10 p.m. on the 1st of February, Carson started making his way back to Nome. It was the worst blizzard Carson had ever experienced.
Of course it was.
He couldn't see...
a group of dogs that aren't his.
Yes, and aren't the best dogs, to be honest. Honestly. They had given him Balto and 9 chihuahuas.
And they weren't pulling. They didn't have a great deal of like horsepower.
Yeah, one of them,
but they did yap the whole time.
Yap power at an all-time high. And he also had a zebra, which died instantly. And the chihuahua just had to pull the zebra along the ground.
Not fit for purpose. It really feels like every single step of the way it's been the worst possible conditions.
Yep.
This isn't just in the retelling, you know, the tail's gotten taller over the years. This is like, because you're talking about temperatures that are on record.
Yeah, they got weather reports. Yeah, that's right.
Amazing.
That just happened to be the front coming across at the time.
And I know, because this got turned into a Disney movie, I'm expecting a happy ending. This would be so brutal if they don't make it right at the end. Dave,
And,
why did you pick
Nome
this
doesn't
story?
exist anymore. Yeah.
Sadly, the zebra ate them all. So it's the worst blizzard he's ever experienced. He couldn't see any of his dogs, let alone Balto at the front, who couldn't hear the musher calling directions either, because usually you signal them. He can't hear shit. So Balto had to go on autopilot and make his own choices as to where to go in the storm. Okay. He chose a lounge room. The fireplace.
He chose the pet warehouse.
Yeah. Oh, this is awesome. He chose the toy aisle.
Oh, that one.
Oh, a little stuffy shaped like a coffee.
Oh, it's fun.
They had travelled 22 miles and all was on track as it could be under the circumstances when they hit Bonanza Flat. Insert Bonanza theme here.
How does the Bonanza theme go?
Bum 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 bum. Bum bum boom bum bum boom bum 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 boom.
I know that from City Slickers. I think they sing that while they're riding the horses.
Oh, nice one.
Nice.
Great theme.
Good to finally get that reference.
Yeah.
But they hit Bonanza Flat and disaster struck.
Oh, no.
The sled flipped over.
What?
They did a kickflip?
Yeah, but they didn't land it.
Oh.
They bailed.
That's embarrassing.
No points.
That is quite risky.
Yeah.
They're getting cocky now. Is this the overconfident guy?
He's like, I reckon I can take this over some sweet jumps. Carson and the dogs weren't injured, thankfully, but as he went to right the sled, he felt for the precious life-saving serum.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're kidding.
And it was gone.
Oh, my God.
And it was night, and it was pitch black.
Oh, my God.
They're in a blizzard. What the hell is he going to do?
And it can't get cold. It'll freeze.
As soon as it freezes, it could be ruined.
Like you can't wait till morning or anything. He's got to find it now.
He can't sit there all night. He got down, and also he'd probably die in the blizzard if him and the dogs aren't moving. He got down on hands and knees and started feeling around in the darkness.
Thinking like a dog. That's clever.
He started sniffing.
Got his nose in there.
Yeah.
He lost his nose immediately to frostbite.
He
fell straight off.
Yeah, he was stuck to the ground.
He was like, I can't smell glass bottles.
Oh, my God.
I don't know.
Now my face is stuck here.
I don't know what serum smells like.
Why didn't they scent it?
So he couldn't feel anything. So he took his protective gloves off.
Oh, my God.
Tried to feel with his bare hands. Started digging around in the snow. He suffered frostbite to his fingers.
Yeah.
But he felt a small bump.
On his testicles.
He called the doctor immediately, as you all should. Always check your bits.
I think it's that you've had a big coffee and a big orange juice.
That's the perfect combo.
Yeah. He found a lump on his testicles, and then he said, okay, back to searching.
Okay, I'll see the doctor tomorrow. I'll put it in the calendar.
I'll go straight away. I'm not going to dilly-dally on this one. Now
that
I've warmed up my hands in my scrotum.
He found a second bump.
What?
The other testicle.
Oh, my God.
But then, a third bump. It was the serum.
Is it still all bundled up in the quilt?
Yeah, thankfully he felt it. It was unbroken.
Oh, so he just needs to find one lump. I'm thinking all the little bottles have gone everywhere.
No.
Like,
He just had to find the package in the dark.
Yep.
He got back on the sled and continued on into the night, but now he's got frostbitten fingers. Wow. It was expected that at about 2 a.m. he would reach his destination, the aptly named Point Safety, where he would hand over the medicine to the man that would be the last musher in the run, Ed Roan. Roan was a Nome local. He's Roan from Nome. Which is good fun.
He's known in Rome. Rome is known in Rome. Rome is known in Nome. Am I getting close?
Roan's home is in Nome.
He's well known in Nome.
He's available on the phone. He wrote a long book. Now he'll read from his epic tome.
Do you think there's something collectively wrong with us?
Yes.
I think so.
This guy, like in any relay race at the Olympics or whatever, they normally have the gun last.
You've absolutely nailed it.
He was Kathy Freeman.
Champion. He owned the fastest dogs in the whole country over short distances. He was chosen as the anchor for the relay. The Usain Bolt is what I refer to him as.
2 and 4 are usually your fastest.
Yeah.
Oh, why is that? Is
it 1 and 4? I think it's 1 and 4.
You probably want a good start and a good finish. So yeah, this guy's fast at the end.
It's interesting because to me it doesn't make any sense. It's just like 400-meter sprints. It doesn't really matter what order it is, but that is like the science of it.
Yeah, I was always 2 because I can't run around bends.
Oh, yeah.
2 or 4 for me. I'll run straight.
I reckon that maybe it's the fourth are the most likely to look around and go, fuck it, I can do it.
Yeah,
I
right.
can make this up.
Yeah.
Push hard.
Yeah.
Which is what they wanted from Roan from Nome. Now, there's some slightly conflicting accounts of what happened next. The most oft-reported story is that Gunner Carson with Balto made it to point safety only to find that Ed Roan was asleep, having expected Carson to arrive much later. Thinking that it would take too long for Roan to get set up, get appropriately dressed for the conditions, and then ready his dogs, Carson decided to just continue on and complete the final 25 miles of the journey himself.
Wow.
Others have speculated that Carson continued on knowing that he would get all the more glory if he was the one to hand over the serum.
Why talk like that? Oh, this guy, assuming he makes it, oh, look, he saved the day.
Because if that is his decision, it's a dumb one because of there's how many people up until this point and packs of dogs have done chunks of this journey. If that is his decision, it's a selfish one.
Yeah, but how would they would have no way of knowing that. So just saying that is them being like, yeah, classic. This guy who risked his life.
I mean, there's debate. Some people say Ed Roan wasn't asleep. He was ready. He didn't stop. He kept going. But it's 100 years ago, so there are conflicting accounts. And it does affect the way this story is remembered in history, which we'll talk about. So, but that's the decision he makes.
He's just going to keep going.
He's kept going. At 5:30 a.m. on February...
Even though there's a fresh person and a fresh set of dogs
and that
waiting.
person is the fastest in the country.
Great. Perfect. Yeah, cool. Just keep going, I reckon. With your exhausted dogs.
But he said, his version of accounts is he was asleep. It might take him an hour to get dressed, to get the dogs ready, get it settled.
Yeah, this guy takes forever.
He's like, I'll just keep going. It'll be faster.
Long shower.
Oh, my God.
I'll just waste his effort to get here in the first place.
It takes him so long putting in the Brill cream, which is probably what they used in their hair back then.
Probably.
Ugh, this guy.
What a nightmare.
Ugh.
He looks fantastic. Don't get me
and
wrong.
his dogs take forever to wake up. They're all like, not until I've had my coffee. And I'm like, I don't think you can give dogs coffee. You know? Ugh.
But the dogs, they won't run without their coffee.
They won't run without it.
So. Don't even talk to those dogs until they've had their coffee.
Don't even mush those dogs until they've had their coffee.
At 5:30 a.m. on February the 2nd, Carson rode into town and startled the sleeping Dr. Welch when he pounded on his door. It had taken 20 dog sled teams comprising over 150 dogs who covered 674 miles on nearly 1,100 kilometres, but the serum had made it. And what's more, after Dr. Welch thawed the serum, he found that it was usable.
Okay, that's big. I like the idea that he woke up Dr. Welch and Dr. Welch was like, hey, come on.
Well, don't talk to me unless I've had my coffee.
Yeah, give us some.
Fucking hell.
Give us some time. They can wait.
And do you think he was a bit upset that he came in at 5:30 in the morning so nobody was like lining the streets to see him? And he was like, fuck,
where's
that
the parade
glory I wanted?
Where is the parade?
So cynical. I mean, either way, this man has risked his life to save the kids.
So have many, many others.
That's right, 20
of them. That's wild.
Of course, but it just seems wild that people are looking for the negative there.
Yeah.
He stole Rome from gnomes. Big moment. Big mo.
Yeah. No, I mean, if I was Rome from Nome and they're like, you don't have to do it, I'll probably be like, but I really wanted to.
Yeah,
just can I have that on the record? I was ready.
I was ready. I was just getting a little kip in.
So he found the serum was usable. It was only about a quarter of what was necessary overall, but it was enough to halt an epidemic. And on February the 8th, another dog sled relay was launched with more serum that had been procured, and it too made the perilous journey.
Oh.
Many of the same mushers were involved, so they did it
Double
twice.
mush.
Some serum was also launched by plane, backed by William Fentress Thompson. Remember the eccentric newspaper editor who owned a plane? And I'm sorry.
The front page news was planes good.
The dog's bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say the plane never even took off. The conditions were just too full on.
That guy was right. The flight will never work. Planes will never take off.
And Thompson wrote in his newspaper, because it was a bit embarrassing for him, because he kept saying, this is the way, it's faster, it's better. He had to write, and this is basically his admitting defeat. Oh, how everyone likes to put in with the winner and laugh at the loser. The only satisfaction is that we've never worried if you can laugh with us or at us, as long as you laugh.
He's in it for the comedy. That is so funny.
What?
That is so funny. Oh, man. That is not where I thought he was going to go. So I thought it was going to be, it doesn't matter to us as long as the medicine made it. But his thing was, doesn't matter to us as long as the comedy survives.
Yeah. Isn't laughter the best medicine? He signed off by saying, the airship will go on when it can. We take our hat off to the dog.
That is so funny.
That's great. They made it.
But the plane was never needed because the ever-reliable dog sled got there again. This time, Ed Rohn from Nome ran the final part of the relay as intended the first time, and I'm happy to report that over the next couple of weeks, the whole town was inoculated, and by February 21, the lockdown was lifted and life returned to normal.
Wow.
Dr. Welsh recorded that only 5 people had died in the outbreak, but deaths amongst Inuit people were not properly recorded, so it's likely much higher than that, despite the fact that most of the mushers that saved the day were Alaska natives.
Mm-hmm. That tracks, yeah.
Terrible.
Because this is 20 years before they had equal rights.
Yep.
Because, yeah, fuck.
One good thing that came from the press coverage was that after this, inoculation against diphtheria greatly increased across the United States, and it was eventually relegated to a thing of the past. So this was good advertising for, hey, this is where you get your shots.
Get your shots?
Get your
shots. Oh, that's when you're overconfident.
Get your shots.
You can get your shots.
That's how you get your nuggets.
Oh, I see.
They're not nuggets shots, I don't think.
Nah.
Depends.
No, don't take it any further.
Speaking of the press that had been following the story like man, they wanted to know who was this mysterious Gunnar Carson that handed over the serum. He wasn't expected to complete the journey. And what about his dogs? Who were they? Well, Balto had been the lead dog on the mission, but for at least the last part of the journey, he'd been paired with another dog called Fox.
Ooh.
Apparently, one of the first journos on the scene thought it would confuse his readers if he reported on a lead dog called Fox. Is it a fox or a dog, they think? They really underestimated people's intelligence back then.
Jeez, imagine what your dog would do.
Yeah, very confusing.
Was it a goose?
You've got a pet goose?
So this journo reported that Balto was the sole lead dog. And Balto became an overnight sensation, a real media darling. He was declared the hero of the mission. Photos and videos were taken of Carson and Balto, but they had to wait until spring when the ice had thawed for the photos to arrive in the contiguous United States and appear in newspapers across the US. Then the film footage was screened, and a few weeks later, Gunnar Carson, Balto, and the crew reenacted the run for Hollywood cameras, further elevating them into stardom. This is why people say he did it for the publicity, because he got heaps of it.
Wow.
The 25-minute film called Balto's Race to Nome came out in 1925, and I'm happy to say it has a huge 9.2 rating on IMDb.
Wow.
Yes.
There's no way he could have known that he would have got this much attention.
You're so upset about this.
I just feel like it seems so strange for them to focus on that.
To project that onto someone.
I think it tracks, but
Oh, you reckon that makes sense?
I think if that's what I think that there is a case to argue that he could have done it because of the fame.
But this is the point. There's no. But you that's a guess. So why even speculate just in case he might?
Well, it seems to be pretty obvious that the last person to do it will be reported on and interviewed more than anyone else.
Yeah, but someone has to be the last person, and if what he said is true, he possibly wouldn't have survived if he waited the extra hour or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. But what I'm saying is, I think either could be correct.
Yes, but if you're not sure of one, why bother speculating on the negative?
Oh, because a lot of people have.
No, not you. I'm not having to go at you. I'm talking about I don't know why a lot of people have focused on that.
Well, there could be a reason that I'll get to here. The film toured theatres across the United States, and Gunnar Carson would appear in person at the end. He'd come out and be like, hey, here I am. And then so would Balto. So they did a big tour of the United States. But not everybody was happy with Balto's fame. Leonard Seppala, who himself had travelled the largest and most dangerous part of the Serum Run, and who owned Balto and thought very little of the dog, was annoyed that what he saw as a second-rate dog was getting all the attention. Meanwhile, his brave beast, Togo, was getting nothing.
There was like 150 dogs.
Yeah.
And even he's like, it's not fair that dog gets all the attention because my dog was also in it, you know?
And to the end of his days, Seppala was bitter about it.
Oh, don't let something like that ruin your life.
A statue of Balto sculpted by Frederick Roth was erected in New York City's Central Park. Another thing for us to see on the US tour. On December 17th, 1925, 10 months after Balto's arrival in Nome. Balto himself was present for the monument's unveiling, which would be... I'm sure he knew that was him.
Yeah, he's like, I get it.
But Leonard Seppala was not happy. He said, I hope I shall never be the man to take away credit from any other dog or driver who participated in that run. We all did our best, but when the country was roused to enthusiasm over the Serum Run driver, I resented the statue to Balto, for if any dog deserved special mention, it was Togo.
Yeah, right.
But it's not like he didn't get any credit or fame. Seppala, Togo, and a team of his dogs went on a victory tour in the lower 48 states as well, making various stops, including in Seattle, California, and New York City. Seppala and Togo were also featured in a Lucky Strike cigarette campaign.
Oh my God.
And
That's what they would have wanted.
And a chewing gum collector card was also issued featuring the pair. The team appeared multiple times at Madison Square Garden.
They
Huge.
appeared together. Oh, this is Seppala and Togo.
Seppala and Togo. And on December 30, Togo was awarded a gold medal by polar explorer and Norwegian hero Roald Amundsen. So what more do you want, Seppala?
Yeah, I just don't get, like, the rest of his life he was focused on this.
Yeah, he was
the
furious.
dog doesn't care.
Dog doesn't know.
Dog, Balto was just a symbol of all the dogs.
Yeah, but he was mostly annoyed that he thought the dog was second rate. That was what irked him the most. He's like, out of all the dogs, this is probably the shittest dog out there.
But that makes the story better.
I think so, for sure. It's like he's just some mutt in Seppala's eyes, and he proved that he could step up and do it. But the fame of the mission allowed Seppala to begin a Siberian dog kennel and partnership with Elizabeth M. Ricker in Maine, where Togo lived out his days in a life of luxury, eventually passing away at the age of 16.
Whoa.
That's old for one of them dogs, from what I understand.
And he fathered many pups in that time, laying down the foundation for the modern Siberian sled dog breed known as the Seppala Siberian sled dog and also the Siberian Husky. Modern Siberian Huskies registered in the US are almost entirely the descendants of the 1930 Siberian imports and of Leonard Seppala's dogs, particularly Togo.
What?
Wow.
So most of them are related to Togo.
Wow.
Togo's body was taxidermied and is on display in the Peabody Museum of Natural History's collection at Yale University.
It's so funny how much credit it got, and he still was so bitter about it.
Still bitter. And honestly, things worked out better for Togo. The next couple of years weren't as nice for Balto, I'm afraid. By 1926, Balto and 6 other dogs were sold to a museum of oddities in Los Angeles, where they were kept in awful conditions and mistreated.
What? That's no way to treat a hero.
It's a hero dog. But the next year in 1927, George Kimball, a traveling salesman from God's country, Cleveland, saw the exhibit and the mistreated dogs and vowed to do something to help them. With the help of the Cleveland Plain Dealer newspaper, Kimball established the Balto Fund. The people of Cleveland generously rallied to the cause. School children collected monies in buckets. Factory workers passed their hats. Hotels, stores, and visitors donated what they could to the Balto Fund. And in the end, they raised $2,200 to buy and rescue the dogs.
I think that's a beautiful end of the story, because it means that the person mistreating the dog's got a big payday.
Got a big reward.
And that's nice.
That's what it's all about. On March 19, 1927, Balto and his 6 remaining companions were brought to Cleveland and given a hero's welcome in a triumphant parade. They finally got the parade through Public Square. They were then moved to the Cleveland Zoo, where apparently they lived much better lives.
Yeah, I've turned back on that guy, whoever the last guy to run into town, who you thought was doing it maybe for the glory.
Seppala?
No, the other guy.
Oh, you mean Gunnar Carlson?
Gunnar Carlson, yeah. I've come back around on him. I don't like him. He sold his dog like that to a place that was going to mistreat it so badly.
But it wasn't even his
just
dog.
for the glory.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if Seppala, who technically owned the dogs, I don't know if he sold it because he was like, I hate this dog.
Right.
I don't know.
Oh, good
Who
point. All
knows?
right, I'm back around on Carlson.
Carson's still your man. When Balto died in 1933 at the age of 14, he still lived a long life for the breed. He too was taxidermied and stuffed and can now be seen at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History.
Okay, another stop on our tour.
Yeah, 2 stuffed dogs, 1 statue of a dog.
Yeah. We'll just do the dog tour via sled.
Ooh,
Jess?
love that.
You'll be leading
running?
us. Yeah.
Fair.
Now, the Gnome Serum Run, as we've already talked about, and particularly the dogs involved here, have been the subject of a few movies, including in 1995, Balto, starring Kevin Bacon. This film was a major financial disappointment because it was overshadowed by the release of Pixar's Toy Story.
Oof,
unlucky.
yeah.
But its subsequent sales on home video led to 2 more direct-to-video sequels, Balto 2, Wolf Quest, and Balto 3, Wings of Change.
Wow.
Though none of the original voice cast reprised their roles.
Air Bud was also based on it. A lot of changes to the story.
In 2019, Disney made a live-action film called Togo, starring Willem Dafoe as Leonard Seppala. So Togo got his own movie too, and it has a 7.9 rating on IMDb, which is higher than Balto the cartoon, which is only a 7.1. So maybe he got the last laugh in the end. That is my report on the Gnome Serum Run.
Great story. That had a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Dogs, cold,
Honestly,
drama.
I'm aware of these sort of movies, but they always seem dull to me. I'm like, ugh, But then I hear the story, I'm like, oh, that's very cinematic. That'd be an awesome movie. Yeah, I don't know why I would think that'd be boring. Oh, it's some dogs running in the snow.
Whatever.
I get it.
Yeah.
But no, that's...
But you don't get it.
I didn't get it.
Clearly not.
Now I think I'm starting to get it.
I'm pretty sure Bob Hoskins played the goose.
Oh, yeah.
I just looked it up.
Bob Hoskins.
I love how you just looked it up and you're only pretty sure.
Well, it says he played Boris, and I'm pretty sure Boris was the goose.
Right. Gotcha.
From memory.
Now, and he's the one with...
People Bumps.
People Bumps.
It's good stuff. It's good
That's classic
stuff.
Hoskins. Classic Hoskins.
Funny shit.
Award-winning actor. Well, that brings us to everyone's favourite section of the show where we spend a little bit of time thanking our great Patreon supporters. If you want to get involved, you can go to patreon.com/dogoonpod. Jess, what are some of the things that they can get involved with there?
Well, you can be part of the Facebook group that is the nicest corner of the internet. You get to vote on what topics that we are going to do our reports on. You get early access to live shows, 3 bonus episodes a month. Honestly, the list goes on.
It does. Honestly. And if we were going to be honest, which we will, the list goes on.
The list goes on.
One of the other things on that list is the Fact Quote or Question section. And this is open for people on the Sydney Scheinberg level or above. This section actually has a jingle, I think. Goes something like this.
Fact, quote, or question.
Ding. Always remembers the ding. Oh, she always remembers the sing. And the way this works is people on the Sydney Scheinberg level or above get to give us a fact, a quote, or a question, or a joke, or a brag, or a suggestion, or really whatever they like. And I read them out on the show for the first time when I read them out on the show, which makes sense. But that's just me covering myself in case I misread anything. The first one this week comes from Amy Clark, and they also get to give themselves a title. And Amy's title is Former Chief Embalmer Sans Ass Packing. Fruit is so bright, I gotta wear shades.
Wow.
That's a lot to fit on the badge, but I like it a lot. At Do Go On Incorporated, we make everyone wear badges. And
we make
Amy
them.
Put it on.
And Amy has offered us a quote writing. I've been listening to almost too many podcasts since being fired out of the blue 10 days before Christmas.
Ugh.
Come on, Amy. Jeez. And though I don't know if it's well known or who may have originally said it, my quote comes from one of the fiction pods I've been enjoying while looking for new employment. This is the quote. When your back's against the wall, you may as well strike a pose. As soon as I heard it, I decided to adopt it as a new mantra to help me get through this generally unfun and occasionally overwhelming time. I'd been considering submitting the Mother Jones quote, which is, whatever the fight, don't be ladylike, but I decided to take my former employer to court for wrongful termination instead of to a back alley for my retribution. And I need more reminders to keep it light and remember that this too shall pass than I do on being less ladylike. Many thanks to you three and all your wonderful guests, as always, for bringing laughter and glee to myself and so many others week after week.
Wow.
Holy shit, Amy. I'm so sorry that happened.
Yeah, good luck with the fight. Keep fighting the good fight.
This was sent in a few weeks ago, so hopefully this has all come to a positive a conclusion, or if not, it's on the way to. And you're right. All things shall pass.
I like the strike a pose quote too. That's nice.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's great. Cheers, Amy. Next one comes from Emily Path, aka Executive Director of and Emily's offered a joke writing, "What do you call a lazy baby kangaroo?" Should I have a stab at this or
Lazy.
Baby kangaroo.
Something to do with Joey.
Surely, yeah.
Joe.
a pouch potato?
Oh, that's pretty
That's
good.
even better than
That's
I
even
expected. And I was
better.
expecting it to be great. A pouch potato.
That's good. A pouch potato. Again, alliteration. Fun.
That's Emily's first entry into the Fat Quota Questions
A fantastic
section.
entry. We rarely get a joke, if ever.
I've only just added it into the drop-down menu.
Excellent.
So hopefully more will be coming.
Thank you so much.
The next one comes from Fahad Al-Thani, who is head coach of the Do-Go-On basketball team. And really, Fahad, you've been doing some fantastic work.
I've been perfecting my layup.
Jess has always been strong, but Dave and our games have come on in leaps and bounds since you got on board. Yeah, I still say Gazy whenever I make a layup.
Yeah.
But now more often than not, I get it in.
That's
And Fahad's offered a fact writing. My fact is about the weirdest yellow card in English football history. Once in 2012, a football or soccer player for Portsmouth named Levi Foster was having his cleats checked by the referee before kickoff. But while he was checking his cleats, Levi farted in the referee's face. The ref was so mad, he almost gave him a red card, but was talked down to giving him a yellow. His excuse for farting was that he had a curry the night before. And the best part is that he was named man of the match after Portsmouth's 5-0 win. And
Wow.
he's linked to a Mirror article for proof.
Is it headline something about a brown card?
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Because that would be good.
that would be good.
I think the Mirror is a tabloid, so it will, if it's like our Herald Sun, it will have a funny or a funny like a headline. No, this is just they're telling it like it is headline.
Player farts on referee's face.
Yes, basically. Football player gets booked for farting in ref's face.
I'd click that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
me too.
That is appealing.
That's good stuff.
Thanks for
Fahad.
sharing.
That's definitely gonna, if I remember, I'm gonna put that in a who knew it question for sure. Finally this week, we've got one from Paul Meller. Okay, proud international member of the St Kilda Football Club, Oldham branch. That is sick, Paul. Time of recording, we're 1 from 1.
Wow.
And,
The streak.
the streak
Is
is
this the start?
One loss.
win, sorry.
Oh,
The streak.
Against the odds. We're playing Dave's team this week at the time of recording. But, yeah, hopefully
And I think my team is 0 from 1.
that's correct.
So, uh-oh.
Bob's team's 1 from 1 and looking real good. Looking,
You saw that? You watched that? You went
of
to the game?
course. Yeah. The boys, went out there. They gave 110%.
Honestly, they looked very impressive,
Tomo
the
and
Pies.
Dave and Jerry. They did good shit. Love the Pies.
Anyway, Paul has offered us a fact writing. Hi all, I have another strange Oldham-based fact I discovered recently. Whether it is fun is up to Jess to decide.
That's right. It
As
is
always.
up to me.
But I'm glad that's respected.
Yes.
I am the merchant of fun.
Yes. The merchant of mirth.
No, the merchant of fun.
Let me finish. The merchant of mirth is me, but the merchant of fun, of course, is Jess.
Is she?
Now that's mirthful, which I can say. Paul continues, in the 1960s, the powers that be decided to test a new teaching method to help children learn to read. This was done using an alphabet called the Initial Teaching Alphabet, ITA, and was trialled in the Oldham experiment. This alphabet consisted of 24 letters of the alphabet plus 20 more characters or symbols to make phonetic sounds. After primary school children had been taught with this alphabet, they then moved on to the traditional alphabet. The symbols look like 2 letters smushed together. Mushed together. There are examples of books in our local gallery, and although they look strange, you can kind of work it out. For example, the sound AE, as in gate, was spelled A mushed together with an E.
Oh, yep.
And the sound OE in goat was spelled O mushed together with E. Is that how, you know, those phonetic guides in dictionaries and stuff? Is that what that means? People, I read that, I'm like, I don't know what that means. Oh, there you go.
Well, there is a phonetic alphabet, but this is
This
different.
is a separate one, maybe, right? So the sentence, I have a goat, would be written, I have a goat. G, O smushed with E, T. It fell out of popularity, and thankfully, I missed this in the 70s. Still, I look around my town at that slightly older generation and think, yes, this explains a lot. Thanks for the great pods. Loving all the content you put out. Keep the faith, Paul. I think that's a Saints-related keep the faith. Appreciate that, Paul. I'm always keeping the faith.
Always.
You got to as a Saints
You
supporter.
simply must.
And happy 150 years, Paul, to you and all the Saints supporters out there. And cheers for becoming a member. I love that. You can be an international member. So good. So that's our facts, quotes, and questions. The next thing we like to do is thank a few of our other fantastic Patreon supporters. And normally, with this section, Jess, you normally come up with a bit of a game based on the topic at hand.
Yeah. I was thinking about naming their lead dog.
Yeah, that's great. So who do we have? We had Fox. We had
Balto.
We had Prince.
Togo, Prince. So many names still left up for grabs.
just to make sure we're not doubling up, we had to recap.
Okay.
That's good.
If I could kick us off.
Sure.
I'd love to thank from Singleton in New South Wales, Australia. It's Melissa LP.
Jingle.
Oh, yeah. Jingle's a great dog.
Jingle. Here.
Jingle.
Mush,
Drop it.
jingle, mush.
Drop it.
Mush.
Jingle.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that as a dog name. I'd also love to thank from Kensington in maybe Maryland in the United States. It's Scott Turner.
Scott Turner. What about Wigwam?
Wigwam. Okay, I like that.
Wigwam.
Wigwam. Good wigwam.
I'd also love to thank from West Beach in South Australia. It's Aidan Malloy.
What are we thinking?
I'm thinking shepherd's pie.
Oh, yes.
That's cute. And people are like, oh, I assume it's a German Shepherd. No.
No.
Chihuahua.
I assume it's a pie.
No.
Not until it's lived a full life.
Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to use, for the next person, I'm going to tell you one of my favourite dog names I've ever heard.
Okay, but only if it fits their name, okay? Only if you think it matches.
Okay, it doesn't.
Well, you hang on to it until you get to one that
None
does
of
match
them.
it.
I don't think of any of them.
Well, Jess, do you want to thank a few of our great
I guess.
support?
I'm pretty deflated now.
I mean, you could just lie.
I really thought you could have just...
Nah, it doesn't work.
They all go together, right?
But I still want to thank these people. I would love to thank from, well, we'd say Berwick. You might say Berwick in Pennsylvania. Tom Henry, PA, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and Tom
Yeah.
Henry.
Tom Henry.
That's a great name, but
Topper.
just...
Superman.
Did you meet a dog called Superman?
No.
Oh, because it's pretty good.
Tom Henry, I think that matches with Superman beautifully.
I know. That's why I allocated Superman to him.
You're still holding back your favourite.
Yeah, I'm holding back.
Okay.
I'll show you. It's a TikTok. I'll show you later. But unfortunately, none of these people deserve this name.
Wow. Okay.
It's that good.
That's how good it is.
Because these people are great.
Yeah.
We appreciate them so much.
No, I was thinking Henry Cavill, Superman.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
I would also love to thank from Boston, where Harvard is, Caleb Plummer.
Caleb Plummer. The bird.
The bird.
The bird.
I like that. That's
The
nice.
bird.
The
Love
bird.
bird.
Not bird.
No.
The bird. This
Or-
is my dog, the bird.
This is my dog, the bird.
Okay.
But you could call it Bird for short, Birdie.
Birdie.
That'd be nicknames.
Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. You never end up calling your dog their actual name.
No.
Lots of nicknames. Ours is Goobatron. And finally, for me, I would love to thank from Blandford Forum in Great Britain. I would love to thank Samuel Matheson.
Wilhelm.
Oh, that's good.
Wilhelm.
Willie Wilhelm.
That's a good
Yeah.
one. Yep, love that.
The Kaiser.
The case.
Dave, would you like to thank some people?
I would love to. Now, this next person, from a location that is unknown to us, possibly to them, we don't know. Do they know where they are? Is it the Fortress of the Moles? I can only assume. Big shout out to Benjamin Humpage.
Humpage. You getting good humpage out of...
Benjamin Humpage.
How's the humpage in those hips?
Well, I'm getting about 28 to 29 reps per minute.
not bad. That's great.
One every 2 seconds.
That's good fun. I've tried to. Can I go with?
That's very slow.
That's very slow.
But you could be in like a rehabilitation sort of thing.
Exactly. I'm hoping to get up to 35 by the end of the week.
Yeah, to get your thrustage right up.
My
to,
thrustage, my hump edge is down.
Can I go with Topper? Which
Topper!
I think is a great, after the Clash
The drummer. Topper Hayden.
Topper, I think, is a great name for a dog.
Love that.
Topper.
Topper.
I would like to thank from Frome in Great Britain. It is Alex Whitehead.
Come on, Jess, use your best one.
That's a
great name.
A name that can be applied to a few things, I think.
All right, fine. I saw a TikTok about a little dog, a little fluffy dog whose tongue was always sticking out, and his name was Stuntman Mike.
That feels perfect for Alex.
Stuntman Mike!
I love that.
It's so funny. It's this woman who, her husband has like a proper hunting dog, and he's very proud of his hunting dog, and then she has this little fluffy idiot called Stuntman Mike.
Stuntman Mike.
And she keeps she got her husband a portrait of his beautiful hunting dog, like portrait done, but then in the background is Stuntman Mike holding a duck. It's very funny. I loved it.
I found that Stuntman Mike's got an Instagram.
Yeah, I love Stuntman Mike.
With almost 20,000 followers.
Oh,
Killing
so
it,
good.
Stuntman Mike.
Stuntman Mike has more followers than I do.
That feels right.
It does feel right.
Yep.
Anyway,
right in the world.
Stuntman Mike.
Hey, Alex Whitehead, now you've got your own Stuntman Mike.
So funny.
And finally, I'd like to thank from Fremantle in WA, it is Spencer Parks.
Spencer Parks.
Barry.
Oh, yeah. Barry.
One of my favourite dogs at the park who always gets in trouble.
Barry.
I think Barry's just one of my favourite names. Barry, Gary, Bruce, Greg.
Yeah. They're all good.
They're
Barry.
so good.
I'll get back to you, Barry.
Yeah.
Classic.
Did you hear the voice of Yo-Go Gorilla died recently?
Who was it?
It was an Australian actor.
Oh, okay. But I wasn't someone that I'd recognise from other things?
I think maybe it was also in Mad Max. I only found this out because we were tweeted by one of our great listeners. Who was it? I can't remember.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Do you know Yo-Go Gorilla, the ads? You know Yogo, the yogurt?
Oh, yeah.
The chocolate? And then they have like the cartoon with the yellow snake.
Yeah,
and that guy
yeah,
that's always on the phone saying, I'll get back to you, Barry.
Yeah, okay.
It was Street Machine, the magazine, tweeted letting me know that Paul P.J. Johnson, Aussie voice-over actor extraordinaire, best known to us as Mad Max's Kundalini, but also... Oh, he was also in Cold Chisel's Forever Now film clip and the voice of Yo-Go Gorilla. So what a career.
Jinx.
That's sick. Yeah. Rest in peace, PJ. Good name for a dog too, in honour of. So if anyone didn't like their dog name,
take PJ instead.
PJ's there for you. So thank you so much to Spencer, Alex, Benjamin, Samuel, Caleb, Tom, Aidan, Scott, and Melissa. And the last thing we need to do is welcome a few people into the Triptych Club. Now, Dave, what is the Triptych Club? It's mysterious to me. Can you explain it?
No, it's not mysterious. It's a thing of beauty is what it is. It's a clubhouse, a hall of fame where we induct people that have been on the shout-out level for 3 years or above or more. They've hit this. We've already given them a shout-out a couple of years back, but they've stayed true with us. And to thank them again, we induct them into this hall of fame, this clubhouse, this theatre of the mind sort of club, restaurant that we've built. There's live music, there's food, there's drinks, there's shows, there's chill-out sections. And Jess usually comes up with a bit of food or a drink that we add to the menu. Every week the menu gets longer and longer.
Yeah. We are... It feels a bit poor taste. But I didn't know.
But it tastes good.
Tastes good, but I am serving sled dog.
Okay. What, literal sled dog? Or that's just the name of a cocktail?
It's just the name of it. Don't look into it.
Okay. Oh, my God.
Also, all the cocktails and even just like a glass of beer are going to be served with dry ice. You know, they make a cocktail look all fancy and stuff. I'm going to be doing that.
That's great.
So I'd be careful if
You're working hard back there.
I'm working a bit too hard, I think. I think I'm overthinking it.
You know what would be good?
I'm honestly quite stressed.
You know what would be great for people coming out of the cold would be just a bowl of hot soup if you could organise something like that.
I don't have any soup left.
Oh, well, it was so hot it just boiled away.
And Dave, you normally book a band for the after party?
Oh my God, you're never going to believe it. I've booked a band from Alaska for this week. And it's just a coincidence. I've booked these obviously months, if not years in advance for these people's schedules. This week we've got the American metal band 36 Crazy Fists.
Oh, I love 36 Crazy Fists. What's the name of their big song?
I love all their songs.
Yeah.
I think I may have even gone to a gig of theirs, but I can't even remember any of their songs. 36 Crazy Fists. My favorite song is Blood Work.
Blood Work.
I also love
that's the
Skin
one.
and Atmosphere, Destroy the Map, and I'll Go Until My Heart Stops.
Yeah, all good songs.
Beautiful band, beautiful message, beautiful addition to our lineup tonight.
Exactly.
But before we get there, we're going to invite a few new names and faces into the Triptych Club. I'm going to read out the names. I'm standing at the door. I'm the doorman. I've got the clipboard. I'm going to read out these names. And Dave's on stage. He's hosting the evening and he's going to hype you up, get the crowd going.
Absolutely.
With a bit of weak wordplay. And Jess will also be there to hype Dave up.
Very strong wordplay.
Thank you.
I mean, there's a great example of Jess hyping Dave up. So, if I can kick us off, are you ready, Dave?
Let's open the floodgates.
All right, I'd love to welcome in from Boston, Massachusetts in the United States. It's Michelle Rutan.
Michelle, my bell, Rutan.
Yes.
Rootin' tootin', son of a gun. Welcome, Michelle, from St. Paul in Minnesota in the United States. It's Hans Christensen.
Oh, St. Paul, they should call it St. Hans.
Yeah, because
After
you're a
you.
saint.
You're a saint to me.
Okay, Hans Christian, and a son for you. I hope you have a great family.
What the
from
fuck are you
Hawthorne,
doing?
Victoria.
We'll be
in
deleting all this.
Australia, it's Tubby Glanville.
You make me feel Tubby Gladville.
Yeah.
Me too. From Golden Grove in South Australia, it's Heidi Stoll.
Well, this night has just gotten a bit more Golden Grove now. Heidi's here, am I right?
Heidi
certainly
stole my heart.
Hasn't
Shut up.
stole.
Shut up. How dare you?
From Reigate in Great Britain, it's Jonathan Withers.
This night will never wither. Now, Jonathan Withers is with us.
Woo!
Oh, yeah, that's good. No, it's from Greeley in Colorado in the United States. It's Cindy Hernandez.
Cindy, you are my number one.
We'll never rescind your invitation. Welcome into the club.
I mean, thank you for saving me there.
No, don't you dare thank
Okay,
him.
Cindy, you are my number one bindi. And you know what that means. You know what that means
Cindy
to me.
gets it.
We've got a
Next.
special relationship.
From Brighton in Great Britain, it's Lottie and Bobby.
Hottie and Hobby.
Yeah, Hottie and Hobby. Come on in, Hottie and Hobby. Woo!
Eastbourne in Great Britain, it's Tom.
Tom. I mean, not much to work with here, but let's just go with T stands for tremendous.
Uh-huh.
O, that
Yes.
stands for, oh my God, it's Tom.
Yeah.
And M stands for, my favorite person is Tom.
My love for you was Eastbourne tonight. Welcome in from address
with
unknown. We can only shoot from deep within the fortress of the moles. Please welcome in Suze.
I would never snooze on Suze.
Yes, it's Suze.
From Edinburgh in Great Britain, it's Thomas Perrett.
Thomas Perrett. Well, you've got lots of merit. I thought you were going to say
Yeah.
merit. Merit. Thomas Perrett.
I love how you can zig and zag.
Yeah.
And finally, from Portland, Oregon in the United States, it's Ray Bradley.
This night will never go Ray Badley.
Yeah.
It'll go Ray Bradley.
You're a ray of sunshine and
Shut up.
welcome in Ray, Thomas, Suze, Tom, Lottie, Bobby, Cindy, Jonathan, Heidi, Tubby, Hans, and Michelle.
Welcome, one and all.
Welcome in.
Grab yourself a drink, get comfortable,
Sorry about it too.
and just enjoy 36 Crazy Fists. Welcome to the stage now.
Woo!
And that's all we have time for here on the show.
Unfortunately, we've had to edit out their set due to copyright reasons, but let's just say they rocked.
They blew the roof off.
Bob, is there anything we need to tell people before we go?
That we love them and to wash your butt, and that if you would like to suggest a topic, you absolutely can. There's a link in the show notes and also on our website, Do Go On Pod, where you can also find info on our other podcasts and info about live shows. And you can find us on social media at Do Go On Pod.
Hey, we'll be back next week with another episode, but until then, we'll say thank you so much for listening, and I'll say goodbye.
Later.
Bye.